Maybe we stop talking about pegging now because I'm clicking the buttons.
First many people
for that.
We should be live very soon.
Well, instead of saying the H word, I always say brothel, the woman from the brothel.
I think we should use the classy term bordello.
I think given the context, bordello might actually work.
Yeah, I think it is kind of like a bordello. Anyway,
It's very classy. Well, and Elise is a classy woman.
I think we're live. Yes, I've got someone in the chat already, so I think we're live. And the conversation that we were having as we came online is now officially over.
Right, okay.
Okay.
No more of the previous
I like
conversation.
the thumbnail.
Yeah, it was the best picture I could find for this episode. Hello, everybody.
Hello?
I have with me today my usual lovely co-host and TV husbando, Espiritu, but we also have a good friend and the original English language light novel author, Brandon Varnell. Would you like to introduce yourself, Brandon? Of course you wouldn't, because nobody likes doing that, but I make you do it anyway.
This is very true. I'm not good at introductions, but it is nice to be here, and it's nice to talk to everybody, and I'm looking forward to this.
Wonderful.
I'm Brandon, by the way.
He is indeed Brandon. And of course, Espiritu, what do you have to say for us today? I know you've been to a convention all day, so you're kind of tired, but how you doing, babe?
I had a nap. Pegging?
Shut up about pegging.
Weren't we just not going to talk about this?
We were having a bit of a dodgy conversation before the stream started. So, yeah, we're not going to talk about that right now. Maybe later in the stream as we get into our flow of talking about Rudius and his exploits.
His ass. Oh, right, exploits.
It's not my headset. I haven't got a headset.
Then why is it echoing?
I don't know. It sounds fine to me.
You know what? That might be me. My microphone is really sensitive.
Oh, maybe.
Let me turn down the volume. How do I turn down the volume?
Wilfred Miller says Brandon and Mr. Aussie are echoing.
Mr. Ozzy.
As always, it's all Nat's fault. Usually it is, but I don't think it is this time.
No, I think it's my fault this time.
It's okay. You're a virgin to this, aren't you, Brandon? You've never been with us
I've only
before.
been on one podcast with Zach, and that was it.
So you've done it once before, but this time you're having some difficulties. That kind of fits
you know what?
with the
That
topic
kinda-
of today's episode, doesn't
I was
it?
going to say, that leads into this episode. I am having some performance issues.
Is your pepping not getting up?
It's not. It's very unfortunate. Embarrassed though I am to admit it.
Well,
That's alright. Soldat's here to help you.
I appreciate that.
yeah, Spiritu really wants to roleplay as Soldat today.
Okay.
I was
that makes
going to
sense.
Avcon, and I said to my friend, I was like, do I remind you of Soldat? And within seconds he turned to me, he said, yes. Then when I made the tweet the next day, he said, yes, you remind me of Soldat, you're just not a drum, but you pretty much perform like that regardless.
I think you would be a good Soldat. You'd be a solid friend in that kind of situation, I think. You were nice to me when I had the depression arc, so... I don't know that Brandon would be Rudius, though. I don't really see that one.
You don't think so?
No. I told you I think you would be Cliff, but that comes later.
Because I'm so devoted.
Yeah, because you're a good Christian boy. But also very
right.
smart.
Right. Millis Church.
And you can keep going, apparently.
I have nothing to say to that.
So you tell us anyway, you know. I couldn't possibly know. But
Have I ever said that before? I don't remember this.
well, maybe in DMs.
Oh, that might be it.
Yeah.
I say a lot of things in DMs. Don't take them seriously.
Oh, see, I'm the other way around. People should only take things I say in DMs seriously. But yeah, what is Soldat doing with Rudius in this screenshot? He's having an impassioned heart-to-heart conversation with him that will inspire him.
Chat, that's the other way around. Nat takes me to the brothel.
Actually,
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I could be Soldat in the right situation.
You could. I could see that.
Yeah, if it was like gender swapped and it was two women, I could be the Soldat of girls, you know. But for a man, I think they probably wouldn't pin me down and beat me up because they were frustrated. So
My only complaint with this episode is they made her way too hot. Like, whoa.
what, Elise?
Yes. Not Elise. Wait, is it Elise?
Yeah, the prostitute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
she's
was
I thought she
thinking
was
it was
supposed to be really hot.
yeah, she's supposed to be like
Yeah, she
red
is,
hair
but-
and like curves and all that because she's supposed to like almost, because her name is Elise, which in Japanese sounds like Eris. She's got red hair.
Yeah, she's supposed to.
She's got the big boobs and all that. She's kind of supposed to look like maybe how we might imagine a more developed Eris.
Eris. Well, and I think I remember in the light novels that she was vaguely described as being similar to Eris.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't, I don't know, my brain did not picture it to be that hot.
Yeah, well, maybe your brain just was wrong because I
Yeah,
thought that she would be
clearly.
like, I thought she would be like exactly like how she looked actually.
I was expecting mega hot.
I mean, I've got like
Well, I
a
was
bit of
pleasantly surprised.
I've got aphantasia, so I don't normally picture characters unless they're drawn in the light novels, but I was expecting that level of attractiveness from her. I wasn't expecting her to look like a scrawny crackhead prostitute or something, you know. I was expecting her to look good. like she
Classy.
did. Yeah.
Classy and seductive.
Yeah, and it was nice that they included the mention of her sister.
Yeah.
I like that
and I
as
think
well.
if they would, if they were going to show her, because they still could, even if they changed it slightly, it still was relevant regardless. And they did like a little small little back
Yeah.
showing of her.
And it showed that even though Elise was a prostitute and someone he'd just met, she hadn't just heard like stories of, oh, this guy's really cool. You know, she actually had like a reason why she would like him, you know, and actually care about trying to solve his problems rather than just wanting to take the money. So I think that was a good touch that they included that.
Right. It adds like a more personal touch to it.
Yeah. I mean, I really didn't see anything wrong with her portrayal at all. I really liked it.
For sure. I agree with that. I think my only issue was, you guys remember the first episode?
Mm-hmm.
Like not episode 0,
Yeah.
episode 1, when Rudy's like
episode 1.
super swole
Yeah.
as he's working out and he names his
Yeah, that's one complaint
his
I've seen
arms.
a fair bit.
in episode 3, he goes back to being like super scrawny. I'm like, dude, what happened to your swollenness?
I don't think that he
So there's
really
a bit
did.
of inconsistency there.
I don't think that it really did change because when you saw him with his shirt off in the scenes with Sarah and that, he still did have like defined muscles and all that. But remember, he is still at this point like 13, 14. He's going through puberty basically, like the amount of muscle. He's not going to get like super jacked even from working
But they
out a
did
lot.
make him look really
He's still
jacked
going to
though in
be
that one.
he's still going to be kind of wiry even if he's got a lot of muscle, you know. So
Well, yeah, I just mean the consistency of the style. Like, he doesn't look like, you go back to that first episode and he looks really ripped. Like, his shoulders are defined, his arms are defined, he's got a six-pack. And then you go back to this one, and he does not quite look that like that.
Filippo says he lost the pump. I mean, that is kind of true. You know, you do get that. Like, when you've immediately just worked out, you get that pump. And
It's true.
maybe he's, you know, while he's been dating Sarah or something, he's just not really been training as hard because he's got other things in his life. I don't know. I didn't really
That's
notice
what
that
happens when
change
you
in
put
his
hose
physique.
before everything else.
I didn't really notice that change in his physique, to be honest. I thought that for a kid his age that's training a lot, you know, they did draw the muscles to be consistent with someone who trains. I don't know, I just didn't notice that difference. I think...
It didn't bother me, I just noticed that was one thing that people did talk about a fair bit.
I can see
Yeah,
why
it was just the one thing I noticed.
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense that would be something to notice. I just didn't notice it myself. I felt like he still looked like he'd been training. He still looked, you know, physically fit, but not quite full grown yet. Not quite like Soldat, or somebody's always going to look more jacked because he's, you know, an adult, whereas Rudy's still just on the cusp kind of thing. So...
Right. Still a teenager.
Yeah, but I mean, like, in this world, like, 15, 16 can be an adult. I mean, like, you're going really on, like, physical puberty rather than... And he's kind of going through that, I guess, you know. We're starting to hear his voice get a little bit lower, that sort of thing. But he's not really... Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't something I particularly noticed, but I can see why it would be something you would think of.
That does remind me, though, with his voice getting lower, I don't know who the voice actors are, but did they change voice actors for this, or is it the same one?
No, it's the same voice
one.
actor. It's a female voice actor, same person that played Rudy as a kid. And as far as I know, she's going to play him for the whole of season 2. So what she's probably going to do is just lower his voice over time, because there isn't really a time skip where you can just have his voice break off screen and then come back with an adult voice.
She said, and the director said that they were perfectly happy having her do his voice the entire way.
I mean,
the anime.
You know, women can do that. I mean, even I've got quite a low voice for a woman, but I can talk higher if I want to play a little kid or a girly girl or something. But what she'll probably do is just phase it over time so that by the time we see him where he's definitely physically older and shouldn't have a remotely childlike voice, she'll have transitioned it without there being a kind of jarring switch between voice actors to a male voice actor, or you know, some kind of time skip. It's just gonna be something that I think they'll do over a phase of time, just have her gradually lower his voice.
Yeah, well, and even if they don't change it, like, you know, there's plenty of female voice actors who have stayed for like a whole anime. Like Dragon Ball Z, every single character, like every single Saiyan character is voiced by a woman, aren't they?
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of shonen, but with shonen where usually the main character does start off as a young boy, they're usually played by a woman, and then because, you know, there are just better conditions for hiring an adult female to play a child male than to hire an actual child. You know, you can make them work for more hours. You don't have to worry about like child labour laws or any of that, and women can typically do those voices. But of course, good female voice actors, if they have the range, you know, in their physical voice structure, they can actually also play adequate male sounding voices. There's quite an overlap between the range of men and women in general. So
for sure.
So it's something that you can do. You just have certain things you do with your voice when you're talking, even in your own normal register. If you talk more from the front of your mouth like this, that sounds a lot more feminine. Whereas if you talk more from the back of your mouth like this, that sounds more masculine. And those are little things that you can kind of do to just... I do it when I'm narrating stuff. It's just a very subtle difference then, because I'm not actually acting the characters, but it just kind of, when you're vocalizing them, gives them a different voice. And those are all things you can kind of learn. And obviously the VAs in Japan are just amazing. They're very well trained, and they learn to get the most out of the voice that they have. So I really, really look forward to seeing how she plays fully grown Rudius later in season 2.
Me too. So speaking of, what did you guys think about like the full episode?
I think it turned out exactly how I expected, pretty much, from pacing to animation style and what was left at the end. especially with Ellen Elise, which was after credits.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That was a good touch.
I knew there was gonna be an after credit scene when the credits started rolling, because we'd already seen a shot of Ellen Elise in the preview. I was like, oh, there must be.
That was smart as well.
Yeah,
because
we might have just closed it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they haven't shown her yet, so there must be a little bit after the credits. Because it's not a Marvel movie, you know, everyone doesn't just sit through the credits expecting something, but because it was in the preview.
But it kind of fit perfectly because of her, and the fact that it's kind of like that conclusion to that arc.
Yeah, and it's a separate scene that Rudy isn't knowing about and isn't involved in. It's kind of good to have it as a separate moment like that. But yeah, I was really happy with that. They did what we said last week they'd probably do with the shopping scene.
Yep.
Where they had it at the beginning?
Yeah. We said they probably would do that. Given they did that with the kind of jobs that Rudius was doing in the previous episode, we were sort of thinking, that the date with Sarah would be kind of covered in that way. You know, them just shopping around for her dagger and everything.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense.
100%.
I did like that bit where she was like, oh, I had so much fun. I'm thinking I want to get a new breastplate as well. And they had that whole conversation about
that was the most obvious come on right there. Oh my gosh.
I know. And it's like...
I was like...
I've tried to say stuff like that to men before, and they've been completely oblivious as well, so I could completely get where Sarah was coming from. But...
Very accurate to real life.
Yeah.
Sad to say.
Sarah was fully trying to put on the riz there, and... Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, and I was like, literally, I was sitting there, I'm listening to Rudius's internal monologue. I'm like, dude, she's totally coming on to you. And I think when you see that situation from afar, like it's really obvious. And when you're in that situation, you're like, there's no way. Yeah, no, she's not hitting on me. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You also got to remember, he's really insecure, though, at that point as well. So.
Yeah, and he's also he's inexperienced, you know, like, with... you know, social relationships and that. He might technically be like in his late 40s in terms of life experience, but he hasn't actually had a lot of social relationships. He hasn't had a lot of girls come on to him.
He was basically, he became a NEET in like middle school, right?
Yeah, he was 14, I think.
Yeah, so in some ways, I don't think he's really grown up like at all from a 14-year-old.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just basically getting to that age now in this world, so he's kind of having that growing up period that he didn't have the first time around. And of course, that's going to come with being awkward with girls and, you know, these kind of situations, being oblivious
just
when
to quote
somebody wants you.
A professional in this conversation, Ed did note that Rudy has digressed as a individual because of his traumas from his past life. It meant that his overall maturity has digressed downwards, so basically he's a fresh slate.
Yeah. He's basically like, he is basically the age he appears to be mentally, but he is also carrying all of the bad memories.
And traumas of his past, yeah.
Yeah, so he's both at once. He's got like all the baggage of someone the age he mentally should be, but he's got the experience of someone the age he is as Rudy, and nobody can tell. They just, you know, whenever he messes up or does something like that, whenever he's awkward with a girl or something, it's, well, because he's only 14 or whatever. But it's not. It's because he never went through that stuff before. And he is going to go through it all. You know, he is going to have that kind of puberty experience that everybody normal has, because they're not just shutting themselves in a room and cutting themselves off from girls and other people and friends and family and everything. But he's really doing all of that for the first time, and it's just interesting. I mean,
no, it definitely is. And also, like, you also have to consider that since he's got two lives, he's got two different sets of experiences, and his set of experience with, you know, his current life isn't that great. Like, the one woman he gave himself to up and vanished, and he doesn't realize that, she just wanted to get stronger because all she said was, "I'm leaving, we're not a good match for each other." And of course, you're going to take that as, oh, she didn't like me.
Well, of course, he's going to take it that way because of who he is and the trauma that he has. I think it's possible. I mean, we can never know, but I think it's possible that if he was just born in this world and he was just a talented 13-year-old kid that had, got to know Eris and all of that, maybe he would have considered, maybe she has just got her reasons. Maybe she's just a bad person and she abandoned me because she sucks. Not, this is definitely my fault. This is definitely because I suck and she's definitely gone forever. Like, he can only entertain the situation where it's because of something bad about him. But I think that's only because he is that kind of traumatized character, not because, that's what anybody would think. It's what a lot of people would think, but it's very particular to Rudy. And these are all things Eris can't know. She could never have predicted that he would be viewing things from that standpoint.
Right, because she's only ever seen the amazing side of him that knows exactly what's going on, that's super intelligent, that's very strong. And since she doesn't know his past, she can't know how self-deprecating he is and how much he I don't know how to say it. Gosh, I'm an author. I should know these things, shouldn't I?
It's okay. I know exactly what you mean.
Help me. Is he gone?
Espy, are you alive?
Yeah. So, were you saying my name?
Yeah.
I was. I need your help. But now I don't remember what I needed your help with.
You were trying to describe like the way Rudius feels when Eris leaves him the note from the perspective of like how traumatized he is from his past life rather than from that being the way that any person would react. And you were saying like Eris had only seen him at his best, basically. She sees all the amazing stuff he can do and how smart he is and how he's always got a plan and all that sort of thing. And she just thinks he's amazing and there's no way she's good enough for him. But
I think it kind of shattered his world in a sense because he had everything kind of pieced together. He was like, oh, I'm going to do this, and now I've got the girl of my dreams, and then suddenly she just leaves. It kind of just breaks apart that kind of mindset that he had. I wouldn't say he had an ego or anything, but he definitely was a lot more confident. And that's one thing I noticed with Mushoku Tensei is they love doing the roller coaster of his emotions, like specifically in this volume. Like everyone's like, oh, Rudy's slowly getting better. I was like, nope.
Yeah, no. He was just hiding it really, really well.
Yeah. Which I think is why Soldat is the best character for this volume.
Because he helps Rudy?
Yeah, because
yes, he's really the only one that helps him in this volume.
He's
and I know that sounds mean to the others, but everyone kept sort of pacifying Rudy's bad behavior, and that's the problem. But Soldat's just like, no, you're not the only one with problems. You need to speak up. You need to talk. You need to deal with it. Stop putting on a stupid face. Stop trying to please everyone. Just approach the problem head on. And that's why I like Soldat, because he is a leader. And you can't be, what's the word? I always refer to it as my friend Ace. Yes, passive. Always passive, never wants confrontation, and that just allows for bottling up. But Soldat is very confrontational, which is why when I said to my friend in the car, I was like, do I remind you? And he's like, yes, because I'm very confrontational in real life. Like, I'm actually really nice online more than in real life. Like, I'm very confrontational. If you annoy me, I'm saying it straight out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Wow.
I don't know, you've always been
right.
really like polite when you've had things to suggest to me about how we can change things on the stream and stuff. You've always been
very
like
polite in real life, but if someone really bugs me, I'm not gonna hold back.
I think it's kind of different when it's just like, I want to do things a little bit differently with this. Let's just change this and that. That's you're not expecting me to get personally offended.
When you were going for your breakup, because I kind of remember how I worded it. I worded it really differently because I was like, you were confused what you wanted to do with life, and I said to you, Stop trying to work out what you do want to do, work out what you don't want to do, and then go from there forward. Because if you work out what you don't want to do, then you can work out what's left over and then be like, okay, this is what I do want to do because now I know what I don't want to do.
Yeah, I think that you actually have a really good way of looking at those kind of problems, but I think maybe like in real life with your friends, you can actually have those kind of moments like Soldat and Rudy, whereas online it's a bit more like, well,
formal.
Not even formal, but it's like you have to know somebody for, I think, a lot longer before you feel comfortable saying just anything when it comes to your own relationship with them. You know, like
in my chat groups with my real life friends, and because we've been doing it in voice, because now Discord has the voice thing, I use very inappropriate words when I call them names. I call them the brothel word.
But see, I think I would like, to you two, I would pretty much say just about anything, but we've known each other quite a long time and we talk quite often. But when I'm not like sort of normally talking to my online friends, I'm a little bit more like, I don't really know exactly what offends this person or what, you know, so if I'm trying to give them advice if they've got a problem, I wouldn't normally be too direct about it. Whereas with somebody I kind of know really well, I would be like fairly direct, I think. More like what Soldat does.
I think also in Australia, there's always this kind of running meme with Australians, like if we insult you, that's endearing, and if we're polite to you, that's an insult.
That's kind of the same with British people as well, actually. Cause
it's like if you're best friends, you're friends enough to fight because you know you'll make up later on.
But it's also kind of just the way our culture goes. Like in the UK, and I think it's the same in Australia, if I like someone, I'll go up, punch them on the arm and insult them, you know? Whereas like in Italy where I live now, you'll go up and hug them and be, you know, all lovely and all that. And in America, you'll be all friendly and smiley, but in the UK...
But then you'll stab them in the back.
Yeah, maybe, but in the UK it's like if you're relaxed enough around someone to call them some insulting nickname you've made up for them, give them a punch... that's closeness. That's like you're like family if you can do that, you know. And I think it's quite similar in Australia.
That's how Soldat works and his group is I think they're very much like that. Like they can all like throw like insults at each other, work well together, and it kind of allows them to feel more confident around each other. So when they are in those dungeons or caves and everything, they work much more better as a group because they can quickly call each other out and be like, hey, no, you need to do that.
They're not worried about like etiquette, about who's the leader and all that. They can do the efficient thing and be like, okay, you know, this guy might be our boss, but at the same time, we know we can just walk into the pub, give him a slap and call him a wanker. So we know that if he makes a decision because he hasn't seen something I've seen or whatever in combat, I can shout at him and get it done, you know. That's kind of like how Soldat runs his team, which is always contrasted to how Timothy runs the counter arrow team, because he's very much more the placating everybody, keeping everybody happy kind of leader. And both of these work clearly for the teams, but Soldat's has a much more like military feel, whereas Timothy's is more like a kind of startup business kind of feel, you know, like
they both work in their own strengths and weaknesses. Timothy's works in a small group, but Soldat's works in a much more professional, bigger, it's like hardcore. It's like if you're a hardcore guild in World of Warcraft, you've got to be much more blunter, you've got to be much more like heavy focused. But if you're a more casual guild, I've always learned that it's much more family friendly. Like everyone's kind of like all very like formal, nice. No one really ever throws anything like heavy. But anytime I'm in a hardcore guild, dude, it's young for old. Like you do something that you either call yourself out or you get called out, and they know. And it's very much like it feels very professional, but at the same time, it feels very much like you're all bros.
Yeah, that's definitely the feel you get with Soldat, though. I mean, we haven't seen him much in the anime, but I think what they did show, even that bit where he's, you know, dealing with Rudius and one of his party comes up and sort of says, hey, you know, go easy on him kind of thing. And Soldat's like, no, I know what I'm doing here, you know. It's
See, I actually kind of feel really good here. I can use all my gaming knowledge in this. Because Soldat just reminds me of like a really hardcore raiding guild in like an MMO. Like they're very comfortable, they're very well organized, they're like a well-oiled machine, and they're very, very efficient. But at the same time, they feel very rough around the edges, and I think it's because they're rough around the edges, they're able to stick together. I find very polite guilds don't stick together for long, but the real hardcore ones that are like Soldat stick through thick and thin. Like they will be like old men at the end of the day. They're like going through like war zones together, and they will stick close. Like they're like bros before anything else.
I just want to give a couple of shout outs to some people in the chat, because I see Jimothy is here and it looks like he hasn't been killed by his ex-wife for another week, so that's good news.
Congratulations to him.
That's pretty awesome.
And who else have we got here? So many of you, but there's some. Oh, we got Zeke in as well. Zeke is saying, are you saying that Australia and the UK are tsundere countries? Yes, we are saying that.
So then what's America?
We still love you.
America's not tsundere at all.
I don't even know.
I don't want to be mean to Americans, but I've always found a lot of Americans... Because again, when I was playing World of Warcraft, I was in mostly American guilds until I moved to Australian servers. I felt like a lot of Americans, not all, by the way, I'm talking only a percentage, were very soft. They didn't take insults very well, which I can kind of understand. If you're friends, then yeah, but if you're randoms, then no. But everything had to be very like, you almost walked on eggshells kind of approach when I was doing that.
Yeah,
you are walking on eggshells with Americans.
I found when I lived in America, a lot of people would say to me, you know, they'd try and watch like UK sitcoms and things like that because they'd heard they were good. And they would be like, oh, I like the old ones, like Mr. Bean and things like that. But the new ones, you know, like Peep Show or whatever, they're like, it's all so cruel. Everyone's so mean to each other. And I'd be like, but that's our humor. We find that funny. We don't think it's bad to make fun of our friends, or
I will say,
like
Mexicans, like Mexican Americans, so chill. They're the funnest to talk to. Yes, I remember raiding with so many Mexicans, and I'm just like, so much fun. Like the sheer stirring we would do, like so much fun. And they'd always bring their wives on as well, and the wives would be sitting next to them, and then I'd be flirting with the wives while the husband's sitting there, and it's just so much fun.
Yeah, my stepmother's Mexican.
Mexicans now.
My stepmother's Mexican, and I worked in Mexico for a few months, and I've got a lot of Mexican friends, and they are so much cooler than Americans that I know, to be honest. No offense, Brandon, or anyone in the chat, but...
I used to trade gold with all the Mexicans because they used to buy stuff in-game for me, and then I'd trade them gold because they used to basically run the auction house on that server, so good.
So they were like the cartel.
Yeah, they used to always buy gold for me. I was like their number one person. That's why I don't want to say too much, because I technically... no, I didn't break terms of service because it wasn't real money transaction. It was, I give you gold and they buy me stuff, like all the cosmetic fun game stuff that was paid for. So I didn't break terms of service, technically, luckily.
Actually, here in Italy, I hang around with quite a lot of people from like Colombia and Brazil.
Anymore, but I'm probably going to play Final Fantasy XIV because, funny story, tonight I bought an Ishtola body pillow.
Oh, damn. I should show you guys
sitting
my
right next to my... I can take a photo because it's literally sitting next to my bed.
Well, be sure to share. Speaking of sharing, I actually can't see the chat because I don't have a link. That's something I can see.
Yeah, it's just on my channel, you know, as you'd expect.
Oh, let me go on to your channel. You know what? I was on Espy's channel. I think that's what the issue was.
Oh yeah, we alternate between our channels each week. So this week we're on my channel.
Here we are.
I think we'll be on my channel again next week, right, Espy? Because you're not going to be... That's the week that you can't do, right?
No, I'll be here.
All right, I thought it was next week. You had the surgery.
Okay, there we go. I see it on now.
August, so...
Oh, right. I thought it was the 29th of July. Sorry. Okay, so
I
we'll be on
can do
SP's
the
next
31st,
Sunday.
the 7th, and then it's after that. So 2 more weeks.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we'll be on Espiritu's channel next week.
Brandon.
Espiritu's going in for surgery.
What?
It's a routine thing. It's not anything like he's not dying or anything. It's all right.
Okay.
But,
I was just gonna say I'm not going into surgery.
yeah, sorry. It's Espiritu who's going in for surgery. I was going to ask you if you'd stand in for him as my co-host that week because
Me, I might be able to.
yeah, well, we can talk about that off stream. It was just something that came into my mind. But yeah, we should probably get back to the channel instead of just gossiping about things.
About life.
And World of
I was
Warcraft
just taking a photo of each folder.
and Soldat. Well, we can talk about Soldat.
And whatever
as
else
much
is
as
going
you
up.
want.
Yeah, do you just want to like simp Soldat right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Soldat's the boss.
Say he is very charismatic, which I think is something
Yes.
that you don't notice at first because he's so abrasive, and you're seeing this from Rudius's perspective. But once like Rudy starts throwing punches, and Soldat realizes, oh shit, this kid's like a lot more messed up than I thought. Like you begin to see like how charismatic and how good his leadership skills are. Because
I
he
do also
literally
like the
just
way
takes.
Rudy even notes during the punching. He goes, I know you can fight back. I know you can overpower me. Because that's one thing Soldat deliberately does. He doesn't raise a hand. He's just like, punch away. Just keep going.
Yeah, he
until
just
you
takes
vent
it.
Frustration. Yeah.
Dude's a fucking champ. Wait, are you allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Just not very often.
got it. I need to avoid that. I talk to a lot of British people, and they've got really foul mouths.
Yeah, well,
So-
you're talking to a British and an Australian right now, so you have no idea how hard it is for us with YouTube's rules. But I think that we're allowed to swear occasionally, just not
Just after
not
the
a
first
lot.
30 seconds of a video.
as
And
not
it's
not as
spectacular.
much as we would enjoy doing, if you know what I mean. I just want to give a quick mention to Across says, also, Natalie, I know this is aside from Mushoku Tensei, but I had to confirm to you, Keiichi Sugasawa actually was the writer of Gun Gale Online Alternative. I'm not actually sure what he's arguing with me about there, because all I said was that Reki Kawahara wasn't the writer of it. So,
That's what you said.
yeah, so I didn't know who was because I haven't actually watched it or read it, but
I don't remember the name. of the
I'm
actual
assuming
writer.
I'm assuming what he's
That's
saying
it.
is correct, and it is Keiichi Sugasawa. But I didn't know either way. I just knew it wasn't Reki Kawahara. That was all. So thank you for that additional information. But yeah, I never said it was not Keiichi Sugasawa. I just said it wasn't Reki Kawahara. But yeah. Before we get sidelined talking about Gun Gale Online Alternative, though, what did you all think about the moment where Rudy picked up the dagger?
I
was
think
surprised
my
they could
heart
bring-
stopped a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew he, being novel readers, and the fact that it's only episode 3, we all knew he wasn't going to actually
Do it.
that. But it was still pretty, yeah. Pretty
I thank
intense
Soldat for
moment.
being quick on his feet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause he was
they
just-
did change it from the light novels because in the light novels he does do it, but he does it with a pocket knife. But with this one, they did a different touch where it's Sarah's sword because she drops it there. So I was just surprised they put it in at all because of how dark that theme is. I actually thought they were just going to cut that completely. So,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
really glad they didn't cut it though.
But the
I
way that
agree.
he just picked it up that quickly and was ready to just do it. It was kind of like in season 2 of ReZero when Subaru just sees that Rem is in a coma and instantly does that. But of course Subaru knows he can go back. Doesn't work in that instance. But you know,
But he knows he can.
yeah. Whereas Rudius is now at the point where, if you think just a few episodes ago, he'd thought he'd died to Orsted, and he was so full of like regrets for all the things he wanted to do. And there he is, just like, yeah, he was drunk, but he'd also just like, he just didn't know what to do with himself. and it was kind of strange to see him go from, oh man, I really wish I could live a bit longer, to no, immediately just, yeah, that bit was really intense. And Soldat again was just the only person you need right there at that time. But like, yeah, that was a really dark moment, and yeah, I'm surprised they kept it in, but I'm glad they did, like you said.
Well, and I'm actually glad they changed it to Sarah's sword, because I think that adds a little bit of extra depth and complexity.
Yeah, I think
to
that
the
was
whole
a good
thing.
change.
Like that was a good touch.
They'd had their date together, picking it out. She'd rejected it, because she wanted to reject the memory of doing anything like that with him, and yeah.
And I'm sure that hit him a lot harder, especially because he was already drunk and depressed, which is like the worst possible combination for anybody to be in.
Yeah.
Like just thinking about that, like when you're like that, especially when you're drunk, like you usually do things that are completely reckless and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really think about the consequences at the time when you're doing it. So I could actually 100% see like Rudy, who is at this moment at an all-time low, just picking up that knife and getting ready to stab himself.
Yeah, I can too.
So
as
let us
someone who's
think
been a bit depressed and drinks a lot, I can see how that would happen.
Oh boy.
No, I'm just kind of
I
only drink for
share
fun,
some stories.
But no, I only drink for fun. I'm just kidding. But I can see like the moment when Soldat's like, yeah, let's just drink until you want to black out. Let's just write tonight off. Let's just forget tonight, and we'll deal with all these problems tomorrow. But when Rudius wakes up, he's still drunk. He's still, he's not ready to start working on the issues yet. And then he has that run-in with Sarah, and it's just kind of, yeah, that's just like the worst combination of things. And the fact that you can see in the anime that Soldat sees that Sarah's there, and we know that,
and he's just like, oh shit.
And we know that what Rudy's saying in that moment, like insulting how Sarah looks and all that, we know that's not true, because we heard his inner monologue, saying that she had a great body and all that. Yeah. And how it's probably all with him. It's just frustration, and he thinks he's just with one of his lad mates, and he can sort of just spout off about these things, and nobody's ever going to care, and they'll all know he never meant it. But
it's his way of venting frustration because of the fact that he feels so defeated in himself. So he's trying to sort of, it's like copium. He's trying to like, in the back of his mind.
He feels inadequate, and he's trying to justify his own inadequacy.
It's kind of, it's kind of like when all those incels are like, oh, Margot Robbie is mid or whatever. It's that kind of thing. It's just
my God.
I could never get with someone even like a quarter of as good looking as this person, so I'm just going to say, I wouldn't want him anyway, like that's just that kind of vibe. And yeah, a lot of people go through that. They get, like you get rejected or you can't perform or something, and you want to think you're frustrated. So I want to think that I don't care about her. I wasn't attracted to her anyway. But we know that he was. He already said that.
Right. Well, and I think if he hadn't been drunk, he probably would have been talking about how he was the one who was the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas because he was drunk, he had a lot less restraint, and he wasn't thinking as clearly. And he wanted to feel better about himself rather than admit that he has the problem.
Yeah. And I think like Soldat being more experienced, he said a lot of things in his conversation with Rudy. It's like, well, everybody has a first. Of course that's going to hit hard and all that sort of thing. Soldat knows all of this. He's been around the block a few times probably. He's probably been hurt by women and stuff, but he's got through it. And so he can be that more like big brother or dad type figure, but he can see that Rudius isn't experienced like him. And I
did see a lot of people thinking they were going to cover Sarah's point of view in the next episode, which that's not going to happen.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
No, they don't ever do the other point of view because they never did Eris's in season 1. I don't think they've never done any other point of view in the anime.
They did a
And I
bit
think
in the
they've
last
done
episode with Eris and Ghislaine. They did show a little bit of that.
it
But
a
I
little
don't
bit. That's
think they
more
will
like,
with
hey,
Sarah.
this is where they're gone.
I don't think they will with Sarah. I think this is the end of this arc, basically. The next episode is going to probably relate more to what we saw in the post-credit scene and a kind of transition into the next arc.
Well, and when you do think about it, as fun as it would be to see Sarah's perspective and realize how badly she screwed up, it's not actually important to the story, which is about Rudius's journey. Like, it's just an extra feature that is interesting, but it would take up time. And I think what they really want to do is get to like the meat and potatoes of the series, of this arc.
But also, I mean, like,
Which
as a kind of minor spoiler, this isn't the last time we'll ever see Sarah.
Yeah,
And
to
so
give context,
there is an
Captain's pointing
opportunity
out
to show
everyone else's point of view. It's any point of view that Rudius is also the main part of it. So with Eris, they only showed what was needed for their journey, but for the part that was like, okay, this is Eris's point of view of why she feels this way about Rudy, they kind of just cut out and just was like, okay, Eris and Ghislaine go that way. With Roxy, Rudy wasn't part of Roxy's journey, so they showed that because it was relevant. But with this, because it's Rudy's point of view, they're not going to show Sarah's point of view. It's kind of like, Rudy's the main, they're not going to show the other point of view unless it's key relevant to like what they're doing, like, oh, they went this direction.
But I think it's like there is that opportunity later on to give some closure to what Sarah thought about the whole thing without having to show that point of view bit.
Probably when she reappears.
And I think that bit will be included, but it's just, it's not for a while, so...
Right, I think if they do show like that scene, it might be shown as like a flashback when she comes back.
That would possibly be the best time to do it, because at least then it's like a recap kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's relevant to that moment.
Yeah. And I think they'll do the same with Eris when her time comes. They'll be like, okay, this is what Eris felt and was going on in her cogs, what little cog she has. That was what was going on when she made that decision. That way it's like a recap as well. I don't think they need to do it at that point in time because it also makes it more emotional. Like, people don't like Eris right now, and it's kind of good that they don't, because you're seeing it from Rudy's point of view. It's the same with Sarah's situation. They feel these emotions because it's from Rudy's point of view, but once Rudy finds out the truth, then we get all the backlogs and all the sort of recaps on that, which I think is perfect, because I've always seen the anime as like Rudy's point of view in the world, while the light novels is kind of like, yes, Rudy's point of view, but it also has all the other little stuff while it's going on. I don't know. I mean, they do still show you like Roxy and stuff occasionally, and Oh yeah. But I mean, I feel like that's critical. Like, you have to.
Yeah, you have to. Well, I really still don't think they had to do that whole episode of Roxy meeting her parents. I still think that was the worst episode. But like the other bits of
you didn't like that episode?
I hated it. I thought that was the most boring thing in the whole show.
I like that I love that episode, but Roxy is like one of my favorite characters. So.
All right. Well, she's one of my least favorites. So.
Even though Roxy's like rank 3, I still really liked the episode. So
I didn't like it because we just had a family reunion episode between Rudius and Paul, which was a lot more impactful. I wanted it to go on to the next part of the story in the Sharon Kingdom, so that we could quickly get to Orsted. I wanted to get to Orsted, and that bit in the novels is only like a couple of pages long, and you never really see those characters again, Roxy's family. So it was just kind of like, why are we spending a whole episode on this? This is like...
I mean, I think that was meant to show Roxy's backstory about how she's not a telepath like everybody else.
Yeah, but she could have just
But it wasn't really relevant to the story either.
In, like, talking to Rudius. I don't know, I didn't like that episode. I thought it was the worst episode of the series. Because of the way it kind of, like, stopped the main story of Rudius for a week. And it was like going for the emotional family reunion thing right after an episode where we'd had the Paul and Rudy reunion. So it was like, oh, another episode of feels, and it's not with someone like Paul that you're supposed to care about. It's with like these two randos that you never see really, again, that are Roxy's parents. And I was just like, it could have been fine as a 5-minute thing, but it was like a whole episode, and I just wanted them to get on with the story. And if they hadn't done that, or if they'd done it as an OVA, you know, rather than a normal weekly episode.
There's a lot of slander for Sarah on Twitter right now.
They could have fit in the stuff with Therese and all of that, you know. I didn't really feel that episode, but you know, like, that's the thing of taste, because a lot of people really loved that episode. I think Chibi said it was his favorite episode of the season when it came out.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah, see, for me,
I liked it.
For me, it felt like that you could have skipped that and nothing would have been lost. But like, again, I'm not really that big of a fan of Roxy. It's not like I dislike her. I just think she's the least interesting of the waifus. So I just kind of was like, oh, well, an episode about Roxy, that's cool. But her backstory is literally just like one sentence of, she could have just said, everyone else in my family can use telepathy and I can't. So I went out and did some stuff, you know, and that is basically what happens in the novels, but they've just padded it out to a whole episode. I just didn't like that one. But that's, you know, that's the thing. You can dislike an episode without being like, oh, the whole series is terrible. And this is what we saw last week. You know, a lot of people didn't like last week's episode, and so they were like, oh, the series is doomed. But I would expect that when we go back onto Twitter later tonight and more people have seen it, probably a lot of people did like this week's episode. And we were saying last week that that was the point, really. This is the climax of this arc. This is the point of this arc. And the stuff last week had to build up to this.
Right. Well, and also, I know a lot of people were talking about, like, pacing issues, weren't they?
Mm.
Like, it was going too fast. There wasn't enough build-up for the scenes, so on and so on.
It was funny because episode 1, people were saying it was too slow, and then episode 2, it was too fast.
Just a second, I've got to do an Ara. Thank you, the Bone Man. He says he's still working, but I just want to say that Soldat was handled perfectly in this episode. This episode, in general, cemented why I love Volume 7. They handled it great. Any love, all three of you. So, thank you very much.
Much love, the Bone Man.
We always see him on Twitter as well, so, you know, he's a friend of the channel. And a friend to us all.
Has he shown up in our chats?
Yeah, he did a super chat. That's why you got an Ara.
Right. No. Oh, no, I saw that chat. I mean our Twitter chats. Like, you know, when you and I are flirting.
Oh, yeah, he sometimes shows up on my Twitter in my replies. I don't know if he gets involved in those particular ones.
I'm just curious. I know some people do get themselves, like, involved in that particular those chats of ours, but I didn't know if I recognized him. Is he still the Bone Man on Twitter?
Yeah, he's the Bone Man on Twitter as well.
I'm going to have to keep my eye out for the Bone Man from now on.
Yeah. He's a good lad.
A good lad.
But yeah, I think the people that involve themselves in our chats are usually a specific part of the audience.
Yes, they are. Wow, and I see someone that we actually know who does recognize that.
Draco's in here.
Draco Nightmare.
Yeah, we got Draco. We got, I think Zeke was here earlier. I don't know if he's still here. We got Jimothy. We got quite a lot of people we know from Twitter up in here.
Yeah, I see quite a few. Oh my God, does he have a bone to pick?
Does he have a bone to pick?
Jimothy world building and memes. I don't know who he's talking about, though.
Jimothy's always trolling, though, so he's normally talking about how his ex-wife's trying to kill him by launching rockets at his neighbours. He just says out of pocket stuff, and we have fun with it.
Okay.
Does he have a bone to pick?
Is he talking about me or Soldat?
I think he's just saying what you just said about him.
Oh. Maybe I do have a bone to pick. Oh, the Bone Man. Okay. So we should probably get back to episode 3, though?
Actually, no, I just want to read Jimothy's most recent one. Most recent was trying to run me over. 17 dead, 28 injured, me untouched. She's an awful driver. Last time she had terrible aim with a rocket launcher and his neighbour's house was on fire. It's an ongoing saga.
Or neighbours.
Yeah, it's an anime within an anime stream.
That's very meta.
The saga of Jimothy's ex-wife. But
You know what? We could probably make that into an anime.
oh,
It would likely be a comedy.
Sudeso is already expanding on this. He's saying, how has she not been arrested? Is she sleeping with the cops? Well, maybe she is. Maybe we add...
It's very
Oh,
possible.
she works for the IRS. We're getting character development. We're getting all of this. But
We need now. We just need some lore and a bit of world building, and we'll be good.
yeah. The C language developer says, just wondering, did Rudius look for Sylphi after arriving in the central continent?
No.
Not yet.
Yet.
Wait. Yeah. No.
He was kind of...
I think
he prioritized getting Eris
his
home
family.
because he'd promised that.
Yeah.
And then when he met up with Paul and he kind of shamed him for being more concerned about Sylphi, or asking about Sylphi before asking about Zenith, that kind of made him maybe think of Sylphi, you know, as it would be shameful to try and seek her out. And you notice in this episode when when Elise says he needs to find someone who he feels won't judge him and, you know, he's scared of women basically and all of that. And Soldat says, is there anyone like that? And he says for a moment, like, Roxy's face came to mind, but I don't see how that could be possible. He doesn't mention Sylphi.
Right. It doesn't even cross his mind, which I think means he's put her in like a secondary position to his other goals. So he might not have quite forgotten about her, but I don't think he sees her as like a potential love interest right now. And, you know, she was like a kid when they parted ways.
Also,
so it's been a while.
There's a good point here from Lucas Van Wingarden. He says he knows Sylphi is alive from back in the refugee camp. That wasn't shown really in the anime, but there were lists of names of people who had been accounted for and whose bodies had been found and stuff like that. And he does know that Sylphi isn't known
Hasn't
to be
been
dead.
listed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he hasn't given up on Sylphi in the sense that she's definitely in his mind just dead. It's not worth trying to find her. But Zenith is a higher priority. Now, of course, how much of a priority Zenith is will change once he finds out that, as we know from the end of season 1, Roxy found out from Kashirika where Zenith is. And that's what Elena Lise is looking for Rudy to tell him. So once he knows that, Zenith will no longer be his top priority because she's already been located, and he'll know that Paul's party, which includes Lilia and, you know, those people that he was with in the previous season, and Gisu, they'll have Roxy and Tauhand as well because they've gone there to tell him that. Once he's got all of those people looking for Zenith, Rudius will know about it, and, you know, Zenith is no longer spreading his name to find Zenith is no longer his goal. He's going to have a different
We
goal.
all know what his goal is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, his main goal is just to cure what's wrong with him.
Yep.
And
To the comment, Retro Gamer, I feel like Sarah was perfectly the same in the light novels to the anime with her frustration and her right to be upset at Rudy. I don't feel like she was any meaner or any nicer. I think it was pretty much spot on. I don't know if you agree that Sarah was pretty, like, equal to her behavior towards Rudy.
yeah, I thought she was fine. She was exactly... I do think the only thing was, like I've said a few times, I do think made her look a bit curvier. I know you don't agree with that. I don't mind that they did, but it does make that bit where Rudius is comparing her to Elise a little bit strange, because they both look quite curvy in the anime, you know. But I don't think that really matters.
Oh, Rudy was meaner. No, Rudy was pretty douchey in the light novel when he was drunk. He said some pretty crude stuff.
Yeah, I think he was actually meaner in the light novel because there was more of it. He said more.
Yeah.
And in light novels also, because it's literature, I feel like emotions don't always come across as much. So you sort of input your own thoughts and feelings into it a lot more than, you know, in the anime, it's very in your face. You can't really mistake this for
Yeah, because there's
anything else than what it
an
is.
actor delivering it in the tone that they're delivering it in. Whereas, when you're reading it, you can maybe imagine that he's saying it a little bit sarcastically or something, but he wasn't, But yeah, I really don't think there was any issues with the way that scene was done. They did cut down quite a lot of what Rudy said, but what he said had the same impact and had the same meaning in the story. So yeah, I thought it was great, actually, the way they did that scene. It was one of the scenes that if they'd done it not quite right,
it would have gone really well. It wouldn't have gone as well.
The whole arc would have really lost a lot of its depth. That is one of the climactic scenes of the arc, and so I was really happy with it, to be honest. I don't know, what do you think, chat? Were you happy with it in general? Did this episode satisfy you?
It sort of satisfied me, but I'm having a little issues. I'm having some problems here.
It's alright, I'll satisfy you.
It's exactly what I was expecting from you. I was just waiting for you to say that.
Retro Gamer says, but was the translation off or something? Like, what did he say? She likes to shop or something, faking. I didn't understand what he meant to say. Well, I watched it on 9anime, which probably had fan translations rather than the official Crunchyroll translations. And what he said in that moment was, oh, who just goes off shopping and having drinks together? What is all this stupid stuff? He was just kind of talking about the whole... It came across like he's talking about, like, the dating thing just being silly and pointless.
So, and since I watched the Crunchyroll version, I'll say that he was talking about how going on dates and shopping is all very childish.
Yeah, so it did have the same kind of meaning. Jimothy says, I wasn't quite satisfied because we didn't get any horse guy. I really can't wait for his return. Maybe we'll see his kids too. I don't know that you will, though. Nokopara, I think he's called, the horse guy that was in Roxy's party. Isn't he dead?
I remember him.
Isn't he dead?
No, he's still alive. Oh. What?
I thought he was
He's
dead.
still alive. What?
No. I don't know. I thought he died at some point. I don't know. He's not really like... He's such a minor character that when someone mentioned him in a previous stream by name, I thought they were talking about Nekopara, the game with the cat girls. Not that I like.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I like a cat girl.
Have I ever shown you guys my collection of figures?
Of Nekopara?
Probably not. I have 3 Nekopara figures. One of them is the Chakula 1/4 figure cat girl where you can strip her, and then the other is like vanilla in Chakula, and they're not quite naked, but like they got their boobies hanging out. It's all very tasteful, though.
I've got all 6 of the pop-up parades for Nekopara.
That's impressive.
Also,
I don't have this.
Also, SB got a really nice Eris figurine yesterday. He did tweet it, so you've probably seen it, but it's really nice.
I haven't seen it yet, but I am already a little bit jealous.
I'm jealous too.
I think I've got an Eris figurine too. I've got Eris and Roxy.
It is the one in the bikini.
I don't have that one. Ooh, okay. Just sent that on over. Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah, this is
like that one.
This is how I figure out which one of these guys I would most prefer to marry, so that what's his is mine. So I get the best figurine collection.
Should I show off my figurine collection now? I've got so many.
That's some peacocking.
We're gonna do a figurine contest.
Is this gonna be like a my dick is bigger than yours kind of a thing? Just.
Well,
I think at
we
the
could
end
just cut to the chase, and you could just show me.
Going off together.
You could just cut to the chase and show me those, but I think that would be less entertaining for the audience.
You know what? I could actually be. I was supposed to be Rudius, but Sedesto brings up a good point. I could be like Zenoba. Have I shown you my figurine collection?
I hope you don't do what Zenoba does when you get a big one.
No, I know that I'm not getting any of those life-sized sex dolls, so I don't think I'll be doing anything like that. Like no judging to anybody who enjoys those, but it's not for me.
I mean, you know, give me enough Bacardi breezes and I can fill that role.
Do you need enough Bacardi breezes for that?
No, I just meant, you know,
if you
want me to be immobile and unconscious, then.
Oh well, I would probably feel exceedingly bad if I did anything while you were immobile and unconscious. So please be conscious for anything we do together.
What if I sign a contract first saying it's okay?
Well, you know, I'm kind of like Rudy in that I'd probably feel exceedingly guilty and it wouldn't be able to get up, and I'd be like, oh my god, now I've got erectile dysfunction.
Oh no.
Yeah, so let's not go that route. We gotta keep you conscious so we can both have fun.
Yeah, this is what our Twitter threads are usually like, so you know.
Probably a little wittier. I feel like I'm a better writer than I am a talker.
Well, that's not a bad thing for an author.
True, this is true. I do wish I was better at talking.
Espy's got more of the live riz.
You do. You got good riz.
His riz is in the moment, whereas you and me, we're writers. We like to construct the riz, you know.
Yes. We do. We have to think it out before we actually say it. And when I'm talking, it's the first thing that pops up in my head. I'm like, wow, that was the stupidest thing I've ever could have said. How could you say that, Brandon?
So yeah, again, if you don't know how to pronounce it, I don't either, but I'm attempting it. That bronze statue in the middle of winter was certainly a decision by Zenoba. For those of you who are anime only.
Oh my god.
Zenoba was the character that freed Rudius when Pax had him in that barrier, and he was trying to use Lilia to bait Roxy to get there. And yeah, he's going to appear again. You saw him in the trailer, so that's not a surprise. And we're going to see some of the interesting places he takes his fascination with dolls and figurines. And it's going to be a good time.
It'd be a very good time. We're all looking forward to that.
We're going to be covering it right here on the channel. You know, like and subscribe.
Exactly. So Espiritu plus Brandon equals the perfect life form. Is this true? What do you think, Espy?
I think it's a very good statement right there. I think we both make fine specimens if we combined our genes.
So we could do like...
You can't though, because you're both men. You can't combine
well, so,
your
you know,
genes.
there is such thing as the fusion dance. I don't know if you've seen that before. If we fused, we'd become like the ultimate being.
That's hot.
Is that hot? So are you just imagining that right now?
Yeah, I told you guys, like, having both of you on stream, it's like Kiss Him Not Me, that anime in real life.
Oh, I know that.
And then
The reverse harem.
The brute power and might of Pepe.
Well, it's a reverse. It's a reverse harem, but the girl doesn't actually want to get with any of the guys in her harem. She wants them to get with each other because she's a fujoshi.
Yeah,
Nah,
she's
you
just an
ask the
observer.
Yeah, I'm not a fujoshi, by the way. I just find it amusing. I do it to Espy and Ed in all of our streams, but now I've got two of them right here.
And you have always
Talking
said you wanted to marry a
fusing.
light novel author.
Yes, I do have a thing for light novel authors. I was hoping it would be like Tape or Rifujin, but you know.
So I'm like your third choice?
No, you're actually higher because you speak English.
I'm also hotter, right?
Yeah, well,
No,
I
it's
actually
not
don't know what
okay.
Rifujin looks like. I've only seen him with a helmet on.
Oh, that's true. I think I've seen what Tape looks like.
Yeah, I've seen what Tape looks like. And also, I don't think Tappei would be like that good in bed because he's not into writing sex scenes. You know, you can't tell what
Yeah.
he'd be like. I think he's a little bit like reserved about that sort of thing. Riffigen, not so much. But we don't know what
And
he
I've
looks
shared
like.
some of my scenes with you.
Yeah, you have.
At least one of them.
Yeah, I enjoyed them very much.
And then there was the God, I don't even want to say it online because I don't know if I'd get like scolded for this by YouTube. And this is your channel. I'm just remembering that one scene I shared with you on Twitter.
Yeah, that one scene. That was from your web novel, right?
Yes, that's from the web novel.
Yeah, I read that. I enjoyed that. But yeah, I never talk about the things in my books because I don't write them anymore, so it's not really worth promoting them. But the things in my books, there's some pretty out there stuff because while they were harem isekai on this pen name, they were also a little bit in the, you know, one foot in the erotica camp. So I wouldn't have the oblivious harem protagonist. I would have the harem protagonist that kind of knew what he was doing and was into it. And, you know, those were the kind of books that I used to write, and they did pretty well. But when you're kind of known for, you wrote that scene with the 2 female assassins using the nunchucks, it's kind of like, oh god, no, do you think I'm into that? No, I just thought I was looking for an idea for a scene, and I'd been training, and I had some like training nunchucks sticking out of my training bag, and I was like, yeah, that'll work. You know, it's just dumb stuff like that. So I always think
inspiration can come from anywhere.
Yeah, I always think like people think I must be into some weird stuff, and that's how I get into like arguments with people like Digi or Ig Studios now, talking about Rui Tsukio, who wrote Reader of Healer, but also Assassin Aristocrat. And in her video about that, Digi talks about how the writer must have a fetish for moms because there's, you know, the mom is kind of like a little bit too into her son, but she's like a really tiny character. You hardly see her. And it's like there was none of that in Redo. It's clearly just something that was thrown in because it's entertaining. And I sort of said, look, mate, people don't write about their own interests in that way if it's commercial. They write about things that will go down well with the audience or things that will be entertaining to the people that they're trying to entertain. It's not like that, you know. I mean, maybe you're super into Fox Girls. I don't know. Yeah, I think I do know, but
I mean,
you know, but they're not real.
I am super into Fox Girls.
Yeah, but they're not real, so it's just fun, right? But
Yeah.
True.
but like you know, if you had a character that's like super milfy or something, it's like, well, that doesn't mean you're into milfs. It just means you wanted to put that character into the story because some people are into it and it's fun to read about. It's a good character. So yeah, it's just that kind of vibe that when you talk about the stuff you write, you just don't want people assuming that you wrote that because you have this particular interest or whatever. Because most of my books are written like with a male protagonist and hot women, you know, and I'm a straight woman. You know, I think that means I like writing harem because I'm good at writing lots of different female characters who all have different personalities and, you know, different stuff going on. And I like coming up with them and I like designing them and all that. It's, you know, it's not because I find those characters attractive, it's because they're fun for me to write. And that's
Right.
and that's just a strange thing about the way people kind of view creators of things. And
Well, and on the subject of like Rui, he's super prolific.
Yeah,
Like, he's got a lot of different light novel series, and they're all very different from each other. Like, I think most of them are isekai, but like when you read them, like one light novel, like Redo of a Healer is like nothing of his other light novels, you know?
Yeah.
The Aristocrat Assassin, nothing like his other series. They're all very different from each other.
Yeah, he's a really interesting guy, actually. I did a video analysing the interview he did with the Anime Man. And it was interesting to see him basically saying the stuff I'd been saying the whole time about how certain decisions are commercial, but that doesn't mean that you're not trying to actually do something good with it, you know? I don't know. It was something I felt strongly about at the time because I have been a writer. And I don't really like those kind of assumptions that either you're doing something purely commercial that you don't care about the quality of, or you're doing something that's your own personal, like, fantasy, you know? And usually the truth is neither of those things. From every author I know, there's an element of what will perform well, but there's also an element of, I want this to be a good story. I want this to be fun. I want this to be entertaining or meaningful to somebody, you know. It's not like there's just this one story inside you that has to be told, like this romantic version of what an author is, but there's also, it's not also just, oh, people like vampires, I would do a vampire story, you know. It's not that either. There's a bit of everything in how we make the decisions about what we write.
Right. Well, I think it's a combination of, yeah, this is a marketing strategy that, yes, I'm writing something that I think will be popular, but also it's a passion project.
It's like YouTubers. It's like, do we only make videos that we're passionate about? Yes and no, but we also need to do stuff that people like.
Exactly. It's the same thing. I don't make the type of videos I don't enjoy making. I don't enjoy making post-episode recaps. So we do that on stream instead. I enjoy doing more like analysis type stuff, or deep dives and things like that. You know, no matter how many people ask me, will you do a review of the episode every single week? It's just not the kind of content I enjoy doing. It stops me from enjoying the episode because I feel like I have to constantly be like, how do I script this? How do I get it out within an hour of, you know, before everyone else gets theirs out? I just don't enjoy that. And
we'll leave the reviews of episodes to Chibi.
Yeah, and I mean, Chibi has a different style. He does it unscripted.
I kind of do the analysis like right after the episode drops for Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah. But you know, like with my normal style of stuff, people would notice if I didn't script the videos, and if they were only 6 minutes long, you know, they'd be like, oh, you know, I wanted you to talk for an hour about this. And it's like, well, I can't do both, you know. So we decided that streaming was a better way because we can discuss it. It's interactive to a point because we can talk to the chat as well. And it's a way of covering the episodes and our reactions.
And it's fun.
Yeah, obviously we have a lot more fun doing this than sitting by ourselves talking into a camera.
I don't know, I can talk shit for hours and it'd be fun.
Yeah, but it's more fun to talk shit with us, right?
It is more fun to do it with others, but I can do it on my own.
I tend to only work with a script or somebody to talk to. I feel really embarrassed just talking by myself into a microphone with nobody reacting. I feel really
I'll say the
awkward.
most embarrassing thing here, I talk to myself all the time in real life with no one around.
Not even Gypsy.
That's impressive.
I have full-blown multi-hour conversations with myself.
Talk to myself for hours.
Oh my gosh.
He's a Miley Cyrus song.
I am imagining you now having like a conversation with yourself.
It's very interesting because I don't know how other people would do the same, but for some reason I'm able to actually debate myself.
That's cool.
It might be really weird for other people that don't know how they can do it, but for me it's like I'll think of something and then I'll try and think of the counter, and I basically just kind of like switch chairs basically of how I counter, and I'm like trying to like fight myself. It's like playing chess against yourself, but some people can't do that, but some people can.
Yeah, I can do that with talking, or actually with physical fighting. I had to learn to do it with Kung Fu because
I think it's a really weird, unique skill that some people can have it, where they can just have full-blown conversations with themselves. I think that's how I learned how to do like free speaking as a YouTuber without in a script, because I could just keep going and going and going and going.
I couldn't do it with chess because I can't play chess to begin with, but I can do it with Kung Fu, and I can do it with debating. But I still, like, if I just sit down in front of the microphone and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about what I thought about this episode of Mushoku Tensei, I find myself just sounding like I'm on a stream, you know, sounding very casual, very like...
I love the way your chat is actually understanding me. I now don't feel alone.
You're not alone. You're never alone when the chat is here. Ding dong heads.
Like
I talk to myself
you.
as it's the only way to have an intelligent conversation.
To be honest, I feel like I have a better conversation with myself than with most people on Twitter. So.
And I think like most people have that thing where they remember like conversations or arguments they had years ago and come up with better ways that they could have resolved them. I do that all the time. I think of stuff like meetings I had at work years ago and how I could have actually like completely slayed.
But it's just completely random. You're like, oh my gosh, if I had done this just a little differently, I could imagine how that would turn out way better.
Yeah.
No, that happens to me a lot, actually. But usually it's completely random. Like, I'll be driving in the car singing Idol or something. And then suddenly I'll be like, oh, I could have done this. And then this issue that I had like 12 years ago when I was in middle school would have been completely resolved easily.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally think about like awkward work situations from back when I worked in IT, you know, like a meeting where somebody was a little bit like problematic or something, not problematic in the woke sense. I mean, just like they were just like stirring up some trouble or something. And I'm just like, oh, I could have shut that down so easily if I just said this, you know. And you think of it like 15 years later in the shower. It's like, I think everyone does that.
I think, well, yeah, I think most of us do that. I don't do that too often, but...
So I'm saying Twitter conversations are a low bar, though. Ours aren't.
I think ours are pretty high.
I mean, you only have to go through my feed and just see some of the highly inappropriate things that I put up.
We're always raising the bar, though.
I got muted on the Mushoku Tensei Discord for posting nudity of Rudy. That was my proudest moment.
Yeah, and I retweeted it.
I retweeted
and then
that
because I got muted, I went to Chibi's server and started posting it there. And the best part is, no one can ban me or mute me because I'm a moderator.
Oh, damn.
Exploiting my power, and I openly admit it to her, and Chibi just loves it.
Abuse of authority. You know what? Chibi would like that, though.
I think I did miss an ara. Thank you across. He did a super chat, but we were too busy chatting. I didn't get the moment to say ara. He says he has to go, so he's probably not even hearing this now, but thank you anyway. We do the ara-aras. That's the thing that we do on my channel. When somebody does a super chat, they get an ara and a thank you. I've been doing that since, well, it's about 18 months now I've been doing that. Someone suggested it on my birthday stream, like the year before, and I've just kept it up because it's fun to say. But...
You know what? I hope you say that to me a lot more.
Ara.
From now on. Ooh. Oh, man. Like, if you just keep doing that, like, at random periodic moments throughout this stream, I would be the happiest ever.
Well, you know, Brandon, most people have to pay for that, so, you know, think yourself lucky that you get even just a little ara every now and again.
You know what? I consider myself blessed every single day that I'm talking to you.
Oh, now I'm blushing. Oh,
I'm glad.
That reminds me, though, the question. Last week, I was talking about the fact that Rudius names his body parts. You know, he names his biceps, Hulk, and Hercules. And so I posed the question to the chat. This was on Espiritu's channel. I posed the question to the chat, does anybody else name their body parts? And there were some interesting answers from the chat, but the most interesting answer of all came from Espiritu. And
the lawnmower, right?
Yeah. Do you want to recap that story while I just get another
give
one?
This to me. I want to get it.
I need to quickly go to my fridge and get a drink, so recap that.
Brandon, you're slowly piecing it together, aren't you?
I think so. But give it to me straight, just so I know for sure.
So, I named my man part, the one-eyed snake, Pepe.
Okay.
Or Pepe. Pepe, to be specific.
Pepe.
And we have a lawnmower named Pepe. Well, we did. And it was a challenging lawnmower. It took quite an effort to get it to run. It was just this weird thing that I did in my head when I was young. I was just like, I named it that. And I don't know why. It was just like that. And yeah, the lawnmower always takes a lot of effort. You really got to pull it really hard to get it going. But once you get it going, it's revving. But it's loud and it's revving.
Okay. All right. I can see why that cracks Natalie up.
Yeah, because...
Oh my, all right.
Because after this... Actually, no. The way that he phrased it at first was a little bit different. You know, the first time he told us about Pepe, he just said, I named it after this lawnmower that we had that never worked.
What the fuck? Oh, dear. That would have been perfect for this stream right here.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, like when he elaborated that once you got it going, it worked very well, it was fine. But, you know, that's not as amusing as what he said at first.
You're going to have to clip it. You're going to have to go through that. Because
it was really funny. Because you retold it on Ed's stream, but you used the version that you just told here, where it's like, that's actually just a clever name. But...
So we're getting the censored version right now.
When you just said, I just named it after this lawnmower we had that never worked. That was just like comedy gold. And so relevant to the current arc of Mushoku Tensei. So
yeah, unfortunately nothing I say would be that relevant.
So Brandon, have you ever named, it doesn't have to be anything of the same level of comedy or even the same body part. You know, maybe you just named your toe when you stubbed it and called it Bastard the Toe or something. I don't know. Have you ever named a body part?
So, yes, I have.
Yeah.
It is my man bits.
Yeah.
You know, I named my left ball Lefty Lucy, my right ball Righty Tighty. I named my third leg. It sometimes goes by different names depending on how I feel. I once named it Thor. I've named it Sexcalibur. What else have I named it? God, I probably named it so many things that I've actually forgotten all of the names that I have given it.
Sexcalibur. Oh man, that was like one I brought up last week. It was a guy I used to know who I was friends with called his Humongosaur, which apparently came from Ben 10. But Humongosaur.
Humongosaur, I can see that. Oh, I've also named it. Have you guys ever seen A Sister's All You Need?
Yes.
I've seen one or two episodes. I haven't seen the whole thing.
Oh, you're missing out.
Yeah, there was
this
pretty good.
episode where they do like the D&D, and like literally I don't know how it got to this point, but they had like an Attack on Titan parody through this D&D session, and they were using dick swords. And so for a time, I had named my Sexcalibur Dick Sword.
Oh my god, I've just remembered the Excalibur from Soul Eater.
I am not naming my dick Chunchumaru. Sorry.
Chunchumaru.
Thiago Santos. We're not doing that here.
That is pretty awesome though, Chunchumaru. It's called Chunchumaru. Yeah, but do you remember in Soul Eater there's Excalibur and he sings that song? Excalibur.
Oh my, yes. And that's probably where I got my name from. Or that name.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I asked
we asked Ed last week. We asked Ed last week as well, and he just came up with Solid Snake, which I think nearly everyone who's ever played Metal Gear Solid has probably used. You know, other than
and you know what?
Women.
Solid Snake is also a grower and not a shower, because he hides in a box.
Oh no, we heard all about whether Espy's a grower or a shower as well, because there was a whole story about him flopping out in high school.
Oh my god. In Vampcore, isn't Bankai like your technique rather than the name you'd use?
You can see why people listen to our streams, can't you?
I can.
excellent analysis of the Mushoku Tensei anime series.
We have been analyzing the shit out of this
Yeah.
episode for sure.
Yeah.
I just realized that I'm looking at your stream and it's paused. I'm like, why is this not move? This little red bar not moving at all? Because it's paused. Oh.
But
I'm not sure it matters
you saw
that
some
much.
of the chats, like you saw Chun Maru.
Yes, I saw Chun Maru. Poor
Sudosu
Kazama.
says, bro, I'm not naming my third leg as it would take control more than it already does, as a guy myself. See, I never name any of my body parts, but we tried to come up with some for mine last week, and so now I have the
Any
cave
good ones?
the Cave of Wonders, apparently.
You know what?
Someone did.
I would not mind crawling into that cave of wonders.
Oh yeah, I called that last week, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah, you came up with that one. Someone else.
Good job.
Someone else said
Thank
a good
you.
one that like a girl that they knew said was like Medusa, because when you see it, you'll be as hard as stone.
Oh wow. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. See, it sounds
Ooh.
like it'll be ugly, but actually, it just makes you like a rock.
Like, you ever remember? Wasn't that a commercial, Like a Rock? I think there was a song like that.
Solid like a rock.
No, it was a commercial song.
Well, we won't know it then, will we?
Maybe
Those are
not.
different in different countries. Do you know, I was so happy when I moved to America and I finally heard the Meow Mix commercial, because I'd known it from like the Austin Powers movies. And when I saw
Oh,
that was
it's
a
a
real
Bob Seger
commercial,
song.
because I always sing that little song, that little meowy song, and I was so happy that that was a real thing that was on TV. You know, meow, 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 meow. I probably can't do it without getting copyright striked, but
Would you get copyright striked for that? Holy crap!
probably.
Yeah.
That's so old.
Yeah.
What? No.
Like, you know, I
PewDiePie
sang like,
on like 3 seconds of Despacito, got copyright strike.
yeah, I sang like 1 second
Oh
of
my gosh.
Miley Cyrus earlier, and I sang it out of tune and made sure to only sing one line, because you'll just get copyright strikes for even humming a song.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's absolute bull.
Uh-huh. So I can't even do the little meowy song, but I did do it when Espiritu picked up the phone. I just did the meow mix meow and scared the crap out of him because he turned his headphones up too high.
Oh boy. Headphones up. You know what, though? My headphones are on full volume, and I feel like you guys are still speaking too softly.
Trying to impress some swordsman, eh? Get him to plant your sword in your cave of wonders. Do battle with the fearsome dragon within. SAO abridged. And then she's like, what does the
rev up
dragon
my
represent
heavy.
in this scenario? And she's like, chlamydia. That's not the case with me, but I have seen Sword Art Online Abridged, and that was pretty legendary.
You know what? I feel like we could reenact that.
I don't think I can give you chlamydia. I can't give you what I don't
No.
have.
Everything except that.
Actually, I can give you what I don't have, because I could give you a broken arm.
Oh my god. Please don't break my arm.
No. No.
Be gentle
No.
with me.
No. I won't break your arm.
You know what, though?
I'm just letting you
About
know
it-
that I do technically know how to. That's...
I mean, you do take martial arts. Thinking about it now, if we were to get in bed, you would totally be Eris. I'm just thinking about that. And I would probably be Rudius. And I would just get, like, taken to town.
Would I have to adopt 2 cat girls, or a cat girl and a dog girl, to just make sure I'm satisfied? Because...
Hopefully you would not need to do that. I like to think that I'm at least able to satisfy you.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be
God,
happy
if you
being
did.
the third wife, so maybe I would just have my Rudius all to myself, you know. Which Eris could have had. Just pointing out that. Actually, this is getting a bit spoilery. even though we're just talking nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, snap. Right. No spoilers. Zip my lip. You know what, Josh Thomas Moore? I kind of want to see Mushoku Tensei Abridged too.
Yeah, I would like that.
And that'd be amazing.
I'd be in that.
I'm sure just be like all sex joke though.
If somebody ever makes that, I want to be in it. I don't have the editing skills to cut together the animation. I could probably write a decent script, but if anyone's thinking of doing it, you know, I would be in it.
You know what? We can talk to the people who do Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Like, hey, we got this great idea. Or you know what? I can actually, so I usually work with like Amber Lee Connors, who is in the Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I just be like, hey, we got this great idea. You wanna join us with this? And have her Sound Cadence Studios do like the cuts for us.
Yeah, if someone else did the actual editing, I would be up for maybe working with you on the script, but like, and I don't mind doing the voice acting for some of the characters, but because I do actually do voice acting on the side, but I'm really not down for doing all that, like, because I've seen videos where Giga talks about how he did his, even those like, 7-minute ones that he does, and it just looks really monotonous, like getting all the lip flaps and all that. I'm not very great at editing, and I use like some old Linux software that nobody else uses, so I wouldn't fancy taking it on as an editing thing, but the writing and speaking parts, I think we could probably put together a team that could do that.
All right, so long as it's just writing and speaking, I think I could do it too. Maybe. I don't know how good of an actor I would be though. I think Espiritu would be a great actor though.
Yeah, he would.
Especially for like an abridged series, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, because you can just make
I have done some small bridges for small channels.
You can make one character just randomly Australian, and that's just funny on its own. Like, we just make Orsted Australian or something, like.
So long as we don't have a space Australia.
Isn't Konosuba like technically inspired by Australia though?
Is it?
Yeah, I've heard that. That was the inspiration for the world that it's set in. Like, that's why there's giant toads and stuff.
You know what? I've not heard that, but I could 100% believe it. Isn't like everything in Australia kind of deadly? Like
we're back to
this.
this.
Can kill you.
You know what else is deadly? My Pepe.
Your lawnmower?
Ding,
No.
ding, ding.
Slays. Peppy slays.
I'll slay
Once
her
it gets going, though. Orsted is the tsundere of all. Where did that come from? It's a video called Orsted is Not Amused, which is abridged.
But Orsted is,
it.
he's not so much tsundere as just like the most socially awkward person that really wants to be friends, but it's just...
Isn't that...
I mean... person I know that will get excited over...
Me?
I can't say any more other than that. 'Cause it's technically a spoiler.
Oh, right. Got it. Okay, so we're actually talking about in the story.
Ara. Thank you, Nuanet. Demon Continent is basically Australia. Minority group of demons and crazy animals like giant turtles and monsters.
What would it be like if Rudy wasn't Aussie? And he just started saying like really inappropriate Aussie things instead of like the weird raunchy stuff.
We're just calling everyone a flaming galah and talking about how their chooks are going to come home to roost. And then but then Paul would have to be an Aussie as well. And Paul would just be like...
imagine if he was going down on Sarah and he's like, oh, I'm about to find your cave of wonders, beauty. And he's like, oh, my Pepe ain't working. The engine's cocked it.
Oh, that would be so funny. And you could have like, if Rudy was Australian, Paul would have to be Australian as well.
Yeah, and then you can make all
that work.
All the douches.
So you would have Paul being all like, oh yeah, there was this one chick, you know.
I can do some pretty
Put
different
another tuba
Aussie
lager
voices,
on the
'cause I can do a
Barbie.
real deep one. So I can do like a super deep one for maybe like
Yeah,
all,
you'd have to play all the Australian
for
characters,
Soldat.
but you can just do a like deeper voice for Paul than for Rudy. But you know,
I do a more high pitch for Rudy, and then like a low pitch for Soldat, and then medium for Paul.
I could play Australian Zenith.
So who would I be? I don't know if I can actually be.
You could be anyone who wasn't
That's true,
You
Australian.
don't
can do
have the accent.
Cliff. Cliff
If we-
would definitely be a good one.
Yeah, you could do him. You
Of course,
could.
we
you
were
could-
talking about that.
You could do Luke.
Luke too, yeah.
Because we definitely put a lot of Luke and Ariel scenes in the Abridged. Because they're pretty funny characters. You could do... Oh, you know who would be funny? You could do Regerd.
Richard. Well, he is one of my favorites. Ruger's the man.
Yeah, he's awesome. But I think it'd be really funny to make him like super American.
An American Ruger. So doesn't that mean like I'd be super sensitive? Like, everything just kind of upsets me. I'd be a very woke Ruger.
Yeah, that would be
So
quite
you're
funny.
a normal American.
No, yeah, like do Regerd, but with like a proper like woke victim complex, because everyone hates Regerd, right? So he's like an
You can do those
oppressed.
whole sort of
He's a member
somber
of an
filter,
oppressed
like-
minority, and you could just like really go all like full Green Lives Matter or whatever, you know. Like,
Why does everyone want every character in this to be an Australian?
No, they said Austrian Ruger.
Austrian.
Austrian.
Oh,
Austrian Reader. Ja. Das ist mein Dragenmagiker. Ja. I don't
Isn't
know.
that Dutch?
Austrians, they speak German, I think. I don't really know. I've
Oh,
only met
okay.
like one Austrian person ever, and I live in Europe, so. We just make everybody a different nationality just for fun. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Jimothy world building is pretty correct. Richard is a super pro-life guy, but it's for kids all the way to adulthood. So basically, he's conservative
Yeah.
in a sense.
No, but I think it's more fun to make him super left wing because he's got like the victim complex because everyone hates his minority that he comes from.
That's true.
Not that we're talking about politics.
It's 'cause I'm a
on my
superd.
channel, but I would make him super left wing, even though he is pretty pro life. He does care about kids a lot.
But only until they're adults.
Orsted is from the Dragon World, which is upside down, so yeah, make him Australian. I did say that in a video, and people thought I was actually being mean to Espiritu, but I just said the Dragon World is upside down, much like where Espiritu comes from.
Oh God.
People thought I was bullying him.
When I'm
Like I said,
finished
this
with your Cave of Wonders, you're going to be upside down, sweetie.
maybe he'll be upside down
With the
when we
puppy?
start. Who knows?
That's a good 69.
As long as we've all got our harnesses on, so we don't fall off of the world, you know.
It's alright. We've got a bungee rope.
I don't know. I think I'll be all right. I've been to New Zealand. I didn't fall off the world.
New Zealand's like the easy version of Australia.
Yeah, because there's no poisonous, deadly things there.
And
So
just a
it's
lot of shit.
Australia, the tutorial.
Yeah, it's like the tutorial zone.
On easy mode.
I've done the tutorial, so you know.
It's the it's like imagine playing a game and you're a reviewer on like what's that shit website?
Roblox.
IGN.
IGN, yeah, it's like the reviewers version of it, the press version, because all there is sheep there, which is why we give them the jokes about.
And I went there quite a long time ago, so it was before the Lord of the Rings movies came out. So I didn't even see any of the Lord of the Rings things. But I did really love it there. Auckland is a really awesome city. So I did like it down under. But I have been thinking if I have the money, I'm definitely going to go to Australia in the winter here. Because I hate the winter here. It's very cold and I cry. So I was thinking I might go down to Australia, but like Espiritu has to protect me from all the things, because there's a lot of things that, you know.
Would this be a good chance to say, you know, it's very warm in Arizona during the winter?
Is it? Actually,
It is.
the one time I've been
We
to
are
Arizona,
a desert, and
the one time I've been to Arizona, I went to Phoenix on the way to Seattle. I just, for some reason, my flight went via Phoenix. And it was freezing cold in Italy when I left. It was like February. And when I went outside the airport in Phoenix, I was just so happy. I was just like, oh my God, it's not cold here. I'm so happy.
yeah, I think the coldest we get is maybe in like this mid-60s, unless you go up north, like Flagstaff. But like Phoenix area where I live in, it's very, very mild, and there are no deadly animals.
Yeah, but they're a
Here.
little bit more welcoming in Australia to people with my passport, let's just say, because we have the same king.
Yeah, I was telling Brandon about that, and he didn't know that you were expelled or banned from.
Well, actually,
Yeah,
no.
I had no idea.
I'm only banned from America for another like 3 weeks. It's actually nearly expired. I had a 10-year ban from America because I overstayed a visa. Nothing exciting. I wasn't like wanted for any cool crimes or anything. I had an American boyfriend. I was supposed to marry him, but he turned out to be an asshole, so I didn't. And that resulted in me overstaying my visa. When I came back to Europe, I just got an automatic 10-year ban. It wasn't like anybody questioned me or anything like that. It just was applied automatically.
It just happened.
Yeah, it was just applied automatically. They were perfectly nice to me when I left and everything. But yeah, that actually expires. Oh no, actually it's already expired. It's my passport that expires in a few weeks, and I have to get a new one.
People think me and Brandon are in a rivalry now.
But yeah, no, it expired on the... It actually
This is
expired...
us fighting over you.
It expired on the 4th of July. Yeah, but you see, we kind of switch teams all the time, because sometimes it's me fighting one of you for the other one. You know?
Do we, though?
Well, SB always tries to steal everyone else that I talk to. He always tries to riz everybody.
I don't think I've tried to steal SB yet.
Oh.
See, I've
to be
learned
fair,
that
I
if
don't
Brandon
think you-
tries to steal Nat from me, I'll just steal Brandon from Nat. So Nat
Yeah, this is kind of like...
God, this is like an NTR triangle.
Yeah. I'm thinking 4D chess here. I'm like, well, if you're going to steal Nat, I'll steal you, and thus Nat can't have you, thus I have Nat and you.
Yeah, and then I'll steal Ed, though.
Oh, damn. So you're trying to get the harem end.
I already have the hero name, I'm just expanding.
No, but if you steal Brandon from me, I'll steal Ed from you.
I'm very
You're
good
not
at
just going to steal me
multitasking.
back? You're not just going to steal me back?
No, I mean, I would kind of be... No, actually, yeah. It's a very difficult one. We could get several volumes of manga out of this.
She's
I'm
gotta
sure
work
there'd be a
out
lot of
how to
drama
divide
going
my
on.
attention, because she realizes one-on-one, I don't think she can win. So she's thinking, well, if I divide his attention, try and steal Ed, then he'll go after Ed, and then that will give her enough leeway to take you back.
Yeah, but you see, the thing that's most frustrating about this is that I'm the only woman in this scenario, and you're all straight men. So why is it so difficult for me
That's the
to
funniest
maintain the
part, is that We're all
interest?
straight men, and I'm
That's what
stealing all
makes
the
this
men
so
from
much
you.
funny.
Yeah,
That's what
really,
makes it so much funnier.
That's really the only reason why we kind of do that joke, because if we were all bisexual, it would just be like, are we having some kind of soap opera online? But
If we were bisexual, it'd be very real right now.
yeah, it would probably be quite horrific to watch, actually. Like, we're all breaking each other's hearts and betraying each other.
That'd be some like domestic girlfriend stuff going on right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but better.
Well, domestic girlfriend was a train wreck. You know, I watched all of it and I read the manga, but it was a train wreck.
NTR Love is War.
Isekai NTR, that's actually a manga, which I
I'm
am reading.
sure that exists. It's bound. I mean, isn't Sword Art Online really a little bit NTR?
Maybe in a sense. Kinda. I mean, when you really think about it, none of the men who liked the girls that end up falling in love with Kirito were ever like the boyfriend. So I don't know if you could quite consider that NTR.
I don't know with Alice though.
Alice is an interesting case since there were like two Alices, and one was the childhood friend, and then the other was like the synthesis one. So if it's the synthesis one, then she wasn't really Yugo's potential love interest. She was a completely separate personality.
Yeah.
Though if we're going body alone, then yeah.
Yeah, I think that Kirito, I don't know, I mean, it's Sword Art Online. I think that Reki Kawahara actually regretted putting Asuna and Kirito together so early. This is not something he said, it's just a sense I get that he didn't really realize he would rather have done a harem thing, so he did that like romance really early on with them, and that kind of made everything else feel very awkward because Asuna never really had like a proper character after that. She was always kind of either jealous or either fine with it depending on what the scene demanded. She was never really like proper character after that. And
and he did write his story, like the first volume of SAO, as like a
standalone thing.
It was part of a contest, and so he had to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah, so
he didn't really get the chance
off.
to really write her in.
Yeah, he had the romance pay off, which you would do if you were writing a standalone thing, but if you want to keep it going and have a lot... And Reki has said himself that he's not great at writing female characters that aren't love interests. And
he also said he's not very good at
He's getting better, though.
I would say that what Reki Kawahara is quite good at is writing fantasy characters. He's quite good at, like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Alice, they were decent, solid characters. A lot of the other characters from that simulation world were all pretty decent characters. What he can't write is like a normal teenage girl from Japan. They're absolutely terrible, all of those characters. Whenever they try and talk to each other or... that speech that Liz gives to all the gamers, that was just like, that's cringe. None of these things are things that she would be saying. She would be saying there are real people, they're dying, go and fight them. And it's all like, oh, but why should we help you when you got to like skip school and be in Sword Art Online and you make out your... It's like nobody would question that. They wouldn't, oh, we might lose our character. No, it's just like, that's not how you would write that if you thought you could talk in the way that a real person would talk, a real gamer, a real teenager, and so I think what he's good at is the fantasy stuff. He's not really good at the real world stuff, and that's the bits in Sword Art Online that become very cringe.
For sure. I do think he's getting a lot better. I don't know if you guys read Progressive, but Progressive is actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, every writer does become better over time, and also when you think, how many novels has he written at this point? Of course he's gotten better.
God, a lot.
But of course he's also still kind of tied into SAO and to a lesser extent Axel World. He's tied into these franchises. He couldn't have just written what was Alicization as a new isekai series, which I think it would have been better if he did. If he'd just written a new isekai series using the characters from Alicization with a new protagonist in the position Kirito's in, and then not brought back in all of these, like, Asuna and that whole bit in the, with, what's his name? The guy that made Sword Art Online originally.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
Akihiko. There you go.
What was it?
I don't know how.
Akihiko Kayaba.
I don't even know how I remember that.
I think I remember. Now you've said it, I know it's right because it's like you hear it in Sword Art Online Abridged, which I've watched like 50 times. But yeah, he brought all of like Kayaba Akihiko back. He brought back Liz and those people from Ordinal Scale that nobody cared about. That idol girl, like all of that SAO crap had to be brought back in. When you already had quite a decent story about this war in this world.
The only thing that needed to come back was Leifa, because man, does she have the best fucking
Could you say that again? You literally just cut out, but I'm assuming it was really good.
I slowed it. The only character that needed to come back was Leifa because she has the best fucking tits.
Okay, there we go.
Right.
And I'll agree with that.
But
Though I think didn't they nerf her boobs in Alicization?
I'm not
They're
sure.
very inconcise with her because sometimes they nerf it, sometimes they buff it, and sometimes they go, hey, fairy pops out of her.
Yeah, but I mean, like, she is a video game character, so it's not too unreasonable that she might change, you know, graphically. They might. I'm just trying to explain the inconsistencies.
I don't
just
know.
so that it
If I was
doesn't.
Kirito, I'd be exploring her cave of wonders.
Well, if you were Kirito, you would be her cousin.
Sister?
No, cousin.
I thought she was a
Cousin.
sister. Oh, no, she
No,
was
they're-
adopted by.
Sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like adopted, but they're cousins.
Yeah.
I think they're first cousins.
Yeah, I thought they were brother and sister, but I'm thinking of the Sword Art Online abridged version again. Where I also think
you might be thinking of Oremo.
I also think that Lifa has a really funny personality, but again, that's because of the Sword Art Online abridged version.
Hey,
Actually,
it's
she's-
legal over here, so hey, I'm just following the laws of the land, man.
First cousins is legal there?
I think it's legal in the UK too, actually.
I'm gonna say this
I think-
quietly. I think mothers are allowed too.
Really? That's
Yes,
definitely
I
not
think
allowed
so.
in the UK.
This is shocking to me.
Because I looked it up and it's like, yeah, it's allowed in the state. I'm like, what?
I'm a little shocked.
Our state is a little
Not
bit
gonna
weird.
lie. I mean, what place isn't weird?
True.
You don't
At least-
actually think about it.
To be fair,
because a
I
lot
have
of
seen Espiritu's mum go into his room, but she was only putting the cat on the bed and putting a little blanket over the cat and making it a little cuddly sleeping spot. So I don't think there's anything we need to worry about there.
There's
Okay.
nothing.
nothing to be concerned with.
The funny part was when she walked in, I said to her, the mic is voice activated, and she didn't. So she just kept talking. I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were just on voice
That's
chat
on
after
for
the
you.
stream. It was after the stream. He went out of the room for a minute, and his mum came in to put the cat on the bed, and like, because their cat has like a knee injury and can't get on the bed itself. And I was just happily sitting here watching while she's putting the cat on the bed and
Actually, an
everything.
inbred cat. Talking about inbreeding.
Man, that's ironic.
Yeah. I found it behind a bin in the back street behind our house. And my mother's like, oh, I want that cat behind the bin. I was like, yeah, all right. Jump over the fence, walk down the street, pick it up. Yeah, it's ours.
Yeah, that's how you get a cat. Just a minute.
That's actually how we got most of our cats.
Just to get a little bit back to anime. Nightshoot 260 says, have you watched Odd Taxi? I watched it. I really loved it. Did you guys watch it?
I have not.
I have not.
Should we?
I think so, yeah.
I've heard it's good.
It's really good. It's like a thriller type thing. And the last episode, it's a standalone anime original series, basically. There's like 12 episodes, the whole thing. And it's really cleverly written. The final episode, I would say, is up there with like the ending of Breaking Bad. It's like an ending that does not let you down at all. It's
All
a
right. I will
really-
add that to my watch list.
It's a really excellent series, and at this point, you could probably watch the whole thing in like an afternoon. You know, if you have the time.
Just binge it.
Yeah, I was watching it week to week when it came out, and there was so much like, because you couldn't read ahead where it was anime only. There was so many people making theories and stuff, you know. But now you can just watch it all the way through without those cliffhangers and waits. Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
I hate cliffhangers. So, and something in chat, I do want to make a quick correction. The age of consent in Japan is now 18.
I
That
think
is correct. It has gone up.
I thought it went up to 16, but it's always been 18 in certain prefectures or something.
Yeah, so what it was, the age of consent nationally, like the overall laws was, I think it was like 14 or 16. And in the prefectures, it was always 18. But now Japan, like as a national policy, age of consent is 18.
I think,
Yes, he is correct.
I know
there.
this is going to like get me some flack, but I think that's too high. Because I'm from the UK, right? Everywhere in Europe pretty much is 16. And we had it lowered for gay men from 18 to 16 when I was younger. And everyone celebrated that because it was like we wanted the same, for gay men and for straight people. And for lesbians, there never really was one because they don't really have penetrative,
Right.
The whole thing was like, it was a good thing that there was parity. Not they should have raised the age for straight people. And when I was a teenager, I can't imagine like everyone just expecting us to not be interested in that or not know about it or not think about it until we were 18. But then I can't imagine not being able to go in a pub until I'm 21 either. Everything in America seems a little bit too like keeping everybody younger than they could be. When I was 16, I left school. I got a full-time job. I had a boyfriend the same age as me. I was basically like, they wouldn't hire you to do a full-time job if they thought you were too dumb to even understand whether or not you were ready to do certain things. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to prosecute someone who's like much older who's trying to get with teenagers, but just the culture of it being like, if she's under 18 and you even look at her, that's disgusting and you're a terrible person. It's like, well, you don't necessarily know. I mean, I looked 25 when I was 16, like if a guy hit on me in a bar, the fact that I'd got into the bar meant I looked at least 18. He wasn't looking at me thinking that's a kid. And we could handle ourselves. We could just be like, no, I'm younger than you think or whatever, and it was fine. It's more like the way it affects the culture, because teenagers will have sex with teenagers, and that's just the way it is. That's normal. But whether you think that older people should be, like in Italy where I live, there's certain laws around age gaps only applying to teenagers, So if you're 14 and you sleep with a 15-year-old, it's not really a big issue. It's still a big issue if you claim you were assaulted by that person. But if you're just found to have been in a relationship at that age, neither of you is going to get a criminal record, if you're not accusing the other person of anything. And I think that's just a better way of handling it, because if that 14-year-old was in a relationship with a 25-year-old, then obviously that's a little bit different to a 15-year-old,
Well, so here it's... What?
I was just going to say, the problem that I had was the way they sometimes treat you as an adult in some cases, and then in these cases they treat you like a child, and it's like, you either are or are not an adult seen by them. It kind of flip-flops depending on what decision they want to make on. It's like, oh, well, alcohol and this, or that's okay at this age, and this is okay at that age. And I don't know, it's kind of like, to me, it's like all or nothing kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you either treat us like an adult or you don't treat us like an adult. You can't just pick and choose which time you want to treat us like an adult or a kid.
And I find it really strange that, like, in the UK, you can't drive until you're 17, but you can consent when you're 16. It's like, maybe we just don't think sex is the scariest thing in the world, and maybe it's more dangerous to be driving cars when you're young and impressionable than to just, have a boyfriend that you maybe might, your own age, that you maybe might be, And we do have sex education, so we learn about contraception and all of that sort of thing. We're not encouraging teenagers to have unsafe sex. It's just, you probably are going to be a bit horny when you're 16,
A bit.
A bit, yeah.
A bit. Wow. No, I was super horny at 16.
Yeah, I mean, like, when I was a teenager, we knew the law was 16, but we used to see that as a target. Like, you kind of had to do it before that, like.
Oh my god. Well, yeah. So, and with laws of consent though, it's not that you can't have sex when you're younger. It's that if someone is 18 and they have sex with someone that's younger, it's a violation. But you can have sex. I think the law is that, like, if you're 17 to like a specific age. I don't remember which one in Japan. Like you can have sex so long as you're within that little age gap.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that can get a bit complicated if the law is very black and white about it. If it's like you're a day over 18 and your girlfriend is 17 and a half, then you can be a sex offender. Whereas
I think
like
the system should be educating people
Europe,
rather than trying to control people.
In Europe, there are those kind of like age gap things that are kind of rolling. So it's like, you know, you're both teenagers, but he's 2 years older than her, because that's kind of a normal thing. Like teenage girls tend to date slightly older boys because girls go through puberty earlier, and so, you know, when you're 14, a 14-year-old boy looks like a little kid to you, whereas a 16-year-old boy is probably more like, you know, that's just
mature?
the way, or physically at least, you know, looks more mature.
Yeah.
He can go out to the same places as you, all that sort of thing. And there has always been that thing. It's just like, I think everyone's always understood this, but there's this whole like current generation that just thinks everyone wants to groom them, and everything is a crime if somebody's under 18, you know?
Also, someone in the chat was like, oh, 16 is a child. No, 16 is a teen. A child is under 15.
Yeah, 16 is, when I was 16, like I said, in the UK at that time, you could leave school at 16, which I did. You can get a job. I'd left home with my parents' full permission. I had a full-time job as a computer programmer, not even like a basic job. I was trusted to do that. I paid taxes. You know, I was a normal member of society when I was 16. So to me, the idea that I was a child is ridiculous. And the idea that I couldn't have a boyfriend, or if I did, I could only like hold his hand. That's just ridiculous.
Oh,
too.
we do not allow hand holding here. You have to censor that.
Yeah, well, it is pretty hot.
The lewdest thing ever. So hot. Give me some of that.
But you know, I've got a stepsister who's 16 now, and she's got a boyfriend who's 18. And in Europe, nobody thinks anything of that. That's just the most normal kind of age gap you can have. They're very happy. They're perfectly nice as a couple. And nobody, her mother doesn't think anything bad about it. My mother never did. If I had like a slightly older boyfriend by like 2 years when I was in my late teens or mid-teens, like that. And it doesn't come up. But when you get on Twitter, everybody's like, if a 14-year-old finds a 14-year-old anime character attractive, that's terrible. You know, it's just
pedo.
Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's just like, you're not children, and you never have been. And yes, people in their 20s and 30s shouldn't be trying to get with you because you haven't got the experience to like cope with everything in adult life yet. But exploring things with people your own age is just normal, and it shouldn't be said that it's not. And it shouldn't be said that if you're 18 and your girlfriend's 17, you're a criminal. You know, it's
really interesting. We say like, you know, that stuff's not normal, but then a lot of stuff is actually more normal than we like to think. Like I have a niece, I guess, a step niece. She's my stepdad's niece, I think is what it is. I don't know what that makes her for me, but she was like 14 years old when this 25-year-old dude knocked her up, and now they're married and they've got like 4 kids. Like no one in that family even batted an eye at this or considered doing anything other than, you know, this person who's like 11 years older than this literal, like she's 14 years old having a kid with him, and they got married. Like no one even thought that was strange, and that's a lot more normal, I think, than a lot of people take on. I think the internet exaggerates a lot of what people consider normal or not, which I don't actually consider that normal. I actually thought that was pretty normal.
I wouldn't say that would be normal here, but it's also not the most unfathomable.
But like, you know,
thing
if you're on the internet, everyone would like be up in arms, but if you go in real life, like no one even cares. Like people just like whatever. I think the internet makes us keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
We like to take up the cause on the internet.
I mean,
but we
like,
probably won't in real life.
I've got a good friend who, she's in her like mid-30s. Her husband is 15 years older than her. And they've got 2 kids. They've been married a long time, but they've been together since they were pretty young. So when she was like in her like late teens, you know, like 19 or something, and maybe he was like 34, they got together, and they've been happy for years. They've got kids. They, you know, there's really nothing wrong with it. But because 19, that's a child to some people on the internet. But she wasn't a child. You know, she'd already started her own business and stuff. It's like,
At that point, you're legally an adult. Anyone who says anything should just shut up.
yeah. And they've been married a lot longer than the average length of a marriage in the US. So
That is actually really impressive. How long have they been married?
I guess probably about 20 years at this point.
See, that's impressive.
I don't really know.
Like-
I met her after they were married. But, you know, they do have 2 children. That they're still happy. It's like, there's nothing weird about that. Actually, my dad's partner is like 15 years younger than him. My mum died, and he didn't want someone who was an old lady because he's not like an old man, you know? So even though he's in his late 60s, she's in her like 50s, and they get along fine because he's younger than he seems and he can keep up with her kind of thing. So, you know, I think people just find the right mix for themselves, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have like a predilection for people who are young or whatever. It just means you kind of know the people that you get along with best. I think I would rather be with someone in their 30s than someone in their late 40s, you know. I'd rather be with someone 8 years younger than me than 8 years older than me. It would just work better because I don't act like someone of that generation, really, you know. And that doesn't really matter once you're my age. Nobody would think it was weird for someone like a 40-year-old woman to be with like a 34-year-old man or whatever, but they would think it was weird if I was 30 and the man was 22. But is it really any different if that's kind of who you just relate to better?
I don't think so.
No, I don't
So now
know.
here's the question. How can we relate everything we just talked about to Rudy's current problem in Mushoku Tensei?
Well,
Because people
Rudius
fail
is-
to understand adulthood versus teenager versus mentality.
because Rudius is still in this episode like 13, 14. And he's worrying about his sexual performance. And if you're saying that, you know, like people can't think about that, or it's not a problem for people of that age. Yeah, we're in a fantasy setting where you come of age at 15, but if you're saying that someone his age couldn't have those feelings or concerns because he's a child, it's not for him to worry about. That's kind of where it leads you. Whereas I think authors in Japan accept that teenagers do think about these things a lot.
I think it's really stupid, the idea of trying to like blind people from what sex is until they're like 18 and be like, oh no, you can't do this, you can't see this. It's like, this
Yeah.
is when you start creating bad behavioral problems, because once people get into that point, they don't know what to do because you haven't educated them. I just don't understand why people are so
Yeah.
touchy-goey on the subject on that. It's like,
And there's definitely
they're
things like
teenagers, they're going through hormones.
you absolutely shouldn't, as older people, you absolutely shouldn't be doing things like what Colin Ballinger was doing and asking the teenagers in your chat for nudes and things like that, or sending them your
yeah, that's-
underwear. You know, those kind of things are ridiculous. But what you can do, I mean, like, if a teenager who watched my videos asked me publicly on Twitter for advice about something, I'd reply. You know, I wouldn't get into DMs about it or anything, but if they were just like, you know, I want some advice about how I should talk to a boy or something, or, you know, or even if they just want to make a lewd joke, I'm not going to be like, oh, you can't say that, I can't laugh at that because you're only 16 or something. If it's public, I don't care.
Oh.
I don't want them privately
Yes,
talking to me about anything other than anime or whatever. But like, if it's public, I don't really care. I just think, you know, it's all out there. And I do sympathize with teenagers a lot, because I remember when I was that age, you know, how you feel about all this stuff. And then these days you have all these like Puritans being all like, oh God, everyone wants to groom you. Everything is grooming. Everything is that, you know, and it's not. You know, an anime series about some teenagers doing whatever is not anything terrible that's going to hurt you. It's designed to make you laugh, or designed to make you experience a story. And I think Japan gets that right. It's like they understand. That's why when you watch things like Nagatoro, all of the jokes are about sex. It's aimed at teenagers, the same age as the teenagers
are horny.
And they joke about that stuff amongst each other. We all did. And it's funny to adults because we remember that, and we remember how cringe it was not really knowing all of that stuff ourselves, but wanting to, because you're kind of coming into that adult world and you were starting to experience certain things or feel that you should be experiencing them. And you joke about that all the time. And that's what they do in Japanese shows. In American shows, you know, unless it's something that's going out of its way to be edgy, like South Park or whatever, you don't actually have teenagers acting like, at least what teenagers were like when I was at school. And
they acted nothing like teenagers.
Yeah. I mean, they're all played by like 30-year-olds. When I was a teenager, I used to watch like Dawson's Creek and think like, what the hell is this? They all look about 30. They're all supposed to be like 18, and they're all talking about like losing their virginity at prom. I was watching that like 14 years old, like, what the hell?
Oh my God. Like, you think that's bad? You should try, you ever heard of Euphoria?
Oh yeah. I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Oh, that was awful. It's like a bunch of 30-year-old people like acting as high school teenagers doing drugs and having sex.
Oh, so it's kind of like if they made Skins but made it with old people because they were too scared of putting actual teenagers in it.
Basically.
Draco Nightmare, why were you watching Dawson's Creek in the first place? Let me tell you something about the UK in the 90s. We had 4 television channels.
Harry Potter generation.
Yeah. Well, technically we had 5, but nobody ever watched Channel 5. So, yeah, you watched Dawson's Creek because it was on. That was it. It was probably on before, like, the football or something, so you just caught it, you know. And you just watch it going, what the hell is this? Like, why are these, like... Barry, my Natalie is 40. Wow, mate. This makes sense from her mature mindset putting in her videos. Yeah, I actually turned 40 in February. I don't look it, so people normally don't realise, but I am quite old. I thought
we weren't supposed to.
I still got all these young guys on my stream, so you know I'm doing all right.
Does this mean I could call you a cougar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, you can't call me a MILF because I'm not a mother, but if I had tags, if I was on OnlyFans, I guess that would be one of my tags.
Natalie, MILF. Yeah, you're cutting out a lot. Someone else is mentioning this, and I guess it's not just me. You're cutting out quite a bit.
See, the thing is, I can't hear how it sounds because I've never been able to get the monitoring to work properly. So all I hear is basically the 3-way Discord call we're having that we're trying to stream out to everybody else. So it is a bit of a problem, but I don't actually know how to fix it. It makes me stress out quite a lot as well because I can't hear it myself and don't really know how to fix it.
We need a tech geek to help us out with this.
Yeah, SB reckons he can fix it, but it would require him to come to Italy, so...
You flying out to Italy anytime soon? I noticed he's been quiet for a while.
He might have died. He's been...
Are you still alive?
He's been at a conventional weekend, and he did say he was going to be super sleepy this stream, which was one of the reasons why I thought it would be good to have a guest on, so that we can kind of lower the strain on him to keep talking. But
right. So he might have literally just passed out.
I don't think so. He did say he took a nap before, so he should be all right. But the thing is that me and SB go on to Ed's stream after this, so he's actually still got another stream.
I knew as soon as I went to the toilet, you would wonder where I was, but you were talking, so I didn't want to interrupt you. So I was like, oh, quickly.
Got it, okay.
We were just gossiping about whether you passed out or not, but that's okay.
Oh, no, I'm actually still doing pretty well, actually.
Nice.
I think the adrenaline from this technically last night is still going through, so...
Well, ride that adrenaline for as long as you can.
Yeah.
The crash will be bad, but...
my legs are, like, dying.
We do have to go off and talk to Ed as well after this.
Yeah. That will be way more deeper. Ours is more like fun shit talking.
We normally just, we go over the episode a bit, but we also just talk nonsense as well and have fun. Whereas Ed's stream can go a little bit intense because this is Psyculturists on Twitch. That's what I was thinking. He does post them to YouTube afterwards as well, so it is possible to watch them. His streams are usually like 5 hours long, but there's about 2 hours in the middle where me and SB are on. And yeah, I mean, like, he gets us talking about all kinds of stuff. Beyond just analysing the characters because he's a psychologist. Beyond just analysing the characters, he gets us to talk about all kinds of our own miserable lives and stuff, like...
So he's dragging out all of the ghosts and skeletons in your closet.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But also in kind of a fun way. Because whenever he's talking about, like, fictional scenarios, when he's trying to explain, like, dynamics between characters or dynamics between people in general, he'll make up these little, like, fanfics. And he'll be like... So, say me and SB were a couple, but you were like, you were his childhood friend and you came back, and he'll just come up with these whole, like, sagas involving all three of us. And he nearly always pairs himself with SB as well.
Man, SB, you are a popular guy.
I don't know if he just does that so it doesn't sound like, like, oh, just pick the woman and, make it. Or he just loves SB like that much, but he does always make the couple in the scenario be him and SB, and I'm always the other person.
He does tell his mods and his admins how much he like adores me.
Yeah, but he says he loves me too.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I think he just feels bad for you. No, I'm kidding.
Wow. That was... I don't even know what that was.
See, I can be very savage.
That was savage. I felt that burn.
That was a big burn.
You want me to apply some Neosporin on that?
Yeah, please.
Okay, see, where does it hurt the most?
He understands me. SB is extremely easy to love. Got a heart of a cat. If you fart again, I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, but then the next one he says bullying. He says you're bullying me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I gotta kick my cat.
Not getting NTR'd again in the psychology streams. Yeah. Get NTR'd.
SB, I would totally eat your heart.
It's like I get NTR'd in streams where I'm the only woman and all the men are straight. Just, yeah. This is the life of Natalie.
It's all the humor. That's just what makes it so much funnier, is we're all straight and you're the only woman in any of these streams.
Yeah.
Well, I can sort of dig that.
And everyone feels sorry for me.
You are the victim in all of this.
Yes, I am. I'm gonna march on somewhere.
Are you gonna play that up?
Yeah. I've never actually
Okay.
been the victim before. That sounds kind of cool.
Do you want your super small violin?
Yeah. Can I like Meghan Markle this thing in some way? You know?
I don't get the violin reference, I'll be honest.
You know, the tiny violin. When somebody's like throwing a pity party but they don't really have anything to feel bad about, and they're like, oh, it's the world's smallest violin playing just for you.
You know what? I think I might have seen something like that about that when I was like a kid.
Yeah, I think it's from SpongeBob or something.
Yes. God, that's so long ago. Natalie has a harem. Yes, she does.
Nat is a
Though we
harem.
all like to NTR her.
Nat is a harem protagonist. Am I, or am I an NTR protagonist? Either way.
Stick around to find out.
Yeah.
But in my story,
We'll see by the end of the stream.
SAO.
What was that, SB?
I said in my story, she's the side character like an SAO.
Oh my god, he's just being savage to me tonight.
That is
The
a
cheerleaders
lot
squad.
of burn right there.
Normally he's so nice to me. I think he's getting jealous of you, Brandon.
Is that it? You sure he's not getting jealous? You sure he's not getting jealous of you?
Maybe.
Mm.
Yeah. I say, I think that might be it.
Yeah, but SB is my TV husband. I don't want to have a TV divorce because he's been so mean to me.
You know what? Every marriage has marital disputes, and once that happens, even if it's TV, it's done.
No,
gotta
because you
file
can
those
go
papers.
you can go to couples therapy, which is also known as Edstream.
No. Couples therapy is what you do when you know it's over, but you're still trying.
I don't know. I think Ed probably has a different opinion on that. But then
He is the
therapist.
psychologist.
Yeah.
Wait, I ain't breaking up with her. I ain't finished with her Cave of Wonders.
She's gonna be down under soon. Oh no, wait, she's gonna be upside down.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in respect of him, because he'll also be down under, we'll both be upside down, so we'll seem like we're the right way up.
So it's not gonna be 69.
Well, it could
Well, I
be,
can
but
make
you'd
it
have to
nine
like
if she wants.
you'd have to make me be upside down, like
Okay.
even though
Like hold you by your legs.
I don't know that most people would be strong enough to do that because my legs are pretty big. They're pretty long. I'm a long girl.
Thinking about it, you are 6 feet, yeah. Just thinking about it, I'm 5'7". That'd be hard for me.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has ever managed to like hold me upside down by the legs. I'm talking in terms of things I've tried at the gym, by the way, not in terms of anything kinky.
See that? I immediately went to the kink.
Yeah, you would, but you know, me and my friends at my old martial arts gym, we used to try all sorts of weird stuff. Just, you know, suplexing each other and things. So,
That's
yeah.
what you do at martial arts gyms.
Yeah, but I could only suplex them in the sea, where they weigh less. So we used to every year we would come to the sea, where I live now actually, and I would suplex them in the sea. Because I couldn't do it on land. Because they're all men.
I'm assuming they were all fairly buff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were all martial
Okay.
artists. Yeah. Not really friends with those people anymore because they were all friends with my ex and it all got a bit awkward. But we would always have a good laugh just doing those things. So, yeah.
Well, if
nobody-
you ever want to get back into it, you can suplex me anytime. I don't think you'll need the C for that.
I might do. Women's upper body strength is not so good, and you need upper and lower body strength to do a good suplex.
That's true. I've never actually tried to suplex someone, but now I kind of want to.
Yeah, it's really fun, but you got to start in water, a pool or in the sea.
Are you offering to practice with me?
Yeah. I don't know. Do you even have water in Arizona?
We have lakes. But, I could always fly out to Italy.
Could you now?
I could. One of the biggest benefits to being me is I could take a trip to Italy, and then after Italy, I can hook it over to Germany for their International Frankfurt Book Fair concert or book fair, and I can write that off as a business expense. So I'm not getting expense for my trip to Italy.
Ah.
It's all business.
See, I could go to Germany with you because I would like to go to the book fair.
You know what you could? We could take trains together.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
I
don't have a car, so yeah. Anyway,
I mean,
let's not plan our
taking a train
vacation
through
on
Europe
stream.
would be like the best thing. That's actually one of the things I want to do is I want to take a train through Europe.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And just like explore every little thing. And if I had someone with me, I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
we could get a private car. We could break it in. Sure, whoever came after us would just love us to death.
Yeah. And you do drive on the same side of the road as Europeans, unlike us poor British people.
Wait, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, I think it's only like
That sucks.
a few countries that drive on the other side, like the UK, I think Australia, New Zealand, I think Japan. There's a few.
Japan, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't drive anyway, so it's beside the point for me, really. But it just makes a difference to which side of the car I get in. But
It's all good. I would drive you.
okay, well, we probably shouldn't be planning vacations on the live stream.
On the stream?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my bad.
In front of the TV husband.
Yeah, don't get him angry because he's already been mean to me. He's going to be meaner. When we get on Ed's stream, he's probably going to be like, SP.
You know what?
Don't be mean to me.
No bullying.
Is that a challenge?
I suppose it depends on how you take the challenge.
Upside down.
Galadomon says,
As always.
Book Fair in Frankfurt is in October, fan meetup. I've been to Frankfurt before. It's actually really nice.
So we could do the book fair, and then we can also do Oktoberfest.
No, because Oktoberfest is actually in September.
Why do they call it Oktoberfest?
I don't know, but it's...
What?
And that's in Munich, but yeah, we could technically, but it would be organized in a different order.
My gosh. All right. That literally blows my entire mind and my plans to smoke. So no Oktoberfest for me. That's sad. I'm not like a heavy drinker, but I always did want to try an Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I've never been either, but my friend Megan went a few years ago and then came down to Italy to see me afterwards. She's from the UK, and she said it was awesome. But
Oh, I can imagine.
she does like
Germany
beer, though.
knows their beers.
Yeah, Germany's good at some stuff. Frankfurt's like a really nice place. Yeah. I don't speak any
Well,
German though. Ich spreche kein Deutsch, except for lyrics from Rammstein songs. That's like all the German I know.
Oh my god. It's all the German I know too. So Natalie, we had a question here. Which of the three great mobbies would you sacrifice your ex to after you get divorced?
If my ex was SB, none of them. If my ex
You're very kind.
If my ex was most people, the whale, so that I would forget that they existed. A bit of the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind thing, you know?
I can agree to that. I would probably do that to some of my exes.
Yeah. Just so that I didn't
Especially
have to remember them anymore. And I don't think...
I mean, if
they don't feel any
you're gonna
pain,
sacrifice them
like,
anyways.
they don't feel any pain, I don't think, if they just get erased by the whale. Whereas, like, if it's the black snake or the rabbit, then they're going to be in a lot of pain. And there's only one of my exes I hate enough that I would inflict that on him. That's the American one, actually. But the others I'm all still friends with to some degree, so I wouldn't want to do anything like that to them. But probably if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have probably fed my ex to the whale just so that I could forget it all ever happened and not have to like get over it. But now a year on, I'm kind of fine, and yeah, I wouldn't feed my ex to any of the beasts. And if my ex was one of you guys, I wouldn't do that either.
Well, that makes me feel a little better. So I'm safe.
I guess I can be nicer. I guess I can be a bit nicer then.
Well, who would you feed me to? Actually, no, you don't really like follow ReZero, right? So you don't know what they all do.
I wouldn't really do anything to any of my exes.
No, I wouldn't. Except for the American one. But him, actually, I would really rather go kill Bill on his ass than have a monster eat him. Why do you think I took up martial arts?
So you could kill Bill him?
Well, his name wasn't Bill, but, you know.
I mean, go kill Bill.
Just so if I ever ran into him again, I would be prepared.
To answer chat, Ed's stream starts in 20 minutes.
Oh.
Oh,
Should we?
Galadamon says Oktoberfest is in September because it's warmer. We are efficient. Yeah, well, you're known for that in Germany.
Efficiency. So if your stream is in like 20 minutes, should we close this out?
Well, Ed's stream starts with him going through the episode and giving his own responses. So me and SB aren't required on there just yet. But if people want to,
okay.
Yeah, we do get to get a break then and watch his reaction. But yeah, we probably should wrap this up because we're just
almost for 3 hours.
Yeah, and we're not even really talking about Mushoku Tensei anymore.
Yeah, at this point, I think Mushoku Tensei has fallen by the wayside in favor of our personal lives and who we sacrifice to mob beasts.
It's only like one episode. You can't really get 3 hours out of one episode.
I mean, you know. I'm sure Ed could, but
Ed would actually, he does talk through the entire episode as well. So it's a slightly different format. We just kind of talk about whatever. We talk about how we feel about the episode, and then we just go off on whatever tangents because it's a very casual stream. And, you know, people still keep showing up for them, so I assume you all don't hate it that we kind of go off. The first one we did on my channel, which was for episode 1, we ended up talking about James Bond for like an hour. And last week we talked about Espiritu's Peppy for quite a long time.
Yeah, I am honestly very sad that I missed to talk about your Peppy.
Well, it's still up on his channel if you want to see it.
I mean, I just would have liked to have been a part of it.
Well, you were part of it today.
Said my 2 cents about his Peppy.
And we heard about Excalibur, so you know,
Excalibur, I guess.
You were still a part of it. So far, ranking the names, I would say Peppy is still first, Excalibur is second, and then Ed Solid Snake is third. I don't know if chat have a different ranking on those. Like, Solid Snake is pretty funny, it's solid, but I think many people went with that one from playing Metal Gear Solid.
The story behind Peppy is also like really peak.
And the way he delivered it the first time was just so funny.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch your stream because I want to see that now.
Yeah, it's still up on his channel. You can watch it anytime.
Oh, I will. I'm actually gonna be heading to my parents. I visit family on Sundays usually, so I'm gonna be heading over there soon. I'll listen to it on the way there, I guess. If I get into a car accident, though, you know I'm coming back to haunt you, right?
Don't get in a car accident.
You know, maybe I'll laugh so hard that I'll get hit by a truck coon. Though in that case, I might end up being isekai'd and I'll become like Rudius in real life.
Yeah, you should try and summon us as well. We want to be in an isekai.
God, I was literally just about to like spoil Mushoku Tensei when you said that.
Yeah, don't do that, but I know what you mean.
You know exactly where I'm going with that?
Yeah, but actually SB hasn't reached the end yet, so he might not.
I know way too much.
Yeah, you've probably heard the spoilers, but I think you're on 21, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, if you're on volume 21, then you already know who I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you meant the very ending.
Oh, no. No, I don't know the ending. I'm on volume... I just finished volume 22.
Oh, so I'm the only one who knows the ending.
Yeah, and I haven't read the web novel. I know some spoilers because I follow people on Twitter, and they've literally delivered a crap ton load of spoilers and art that spoils everything. So I know a lot of what's going down, but I don't actually know the full ending. You know, I don't want to say... I'm trying to say stuff without spoiling it, but I can't. But I know a lot of what happens.
Yeah,
however, I was talking about something that will be relevant to this season.
I'm pretty sure.
A character who will be introduced.
Yeah, no, I know who you mean now. And
okay.
Yeah, you would have to bring me over so I could be like that.
We'll need some.
Ed has already
incident.
guessed. Ed hasn't had the spoilers. He's anime only, and he's guessed so much. And,
really?
Yeah. And using his psychology wizardry. And then because when we're on his stream he can see Espiritu because he puts his camera on. I don't because I'm camera shy. But Espiritu puts his camera on and Ed asks these questions and then he looks at Espiritu's reaction to try and figure it out. And they're playing this game at this point.
Everything.
Yeah, they're playing this game at this point.
Like a mind game.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to see what real mind games are, watch me and Ed talk because it's like tick for tack. It's gotten so bad that there's actually people complaining in the comments of his videos going on about spoilers, and it's like, dude, this is literally the point of the game.
Because Ed will he won't ask a question that we can answer. Because he doesn't want spoilers, right? And his videos are supposed to be spoiler-free. So he knows that we know, I've read everything and all the side stories and all of that. SB's read most of the story. We go on there and he'll be like, so will there be a time in the future when XYZ happens? Or will this character do this in the future? And obviously we can't actually answer it because that would be a spoiler. We can't say yes or no. So... he's asking these questions just to see how Espiritu reacts. And then he analyzes him, and it's really, really yeah, he's too good, man. I mean, SB's figured the game out, but it's like watching him do battle, whereas me, he can't see.
It's like he plays a game, then I work out the game, and then I outsmart him, then he upgrades that game to the next level, and it's just like tick for tack. It's constantly one-upping.
Yeah. But it's really
so it's psychoculturist love is war.
Yeah. But he can't see me, and if anything I know all the spoilers, so it's kind of I just sort of try and answer the questions diplomatically since he can't see me, but sometimes there's just the way he asks them is just there's no way out of this question without giving something away. Yeah, I did slip up.
He traps you.
Yeah. Last week, there was one where I said, well, if I did say yes, then you'd be able to guess which character I meant. And yeah, SB was right. You basically said it's, yes. And it wasn't a major spoiler. It wasn't a big deal. But yeah, he got me in his trap.
I'd like to get you in my trap.
But Espiritu's figured out the best answer is always to be that's the right question to be asking.
Yeah, that's what I always say.
Yeah, so I'm going to.
It's the right question to ask.
I'm going to be doing that a lot tonight, I think.
It drives him up a wall. There was when we did, I think, the second stream, and we were doing that game, and he asked 5 questions in a row, and that's all I gave, and he threw something across the room.
Oh my god! This is the last stream you said.
No, I think that was
not
the one
last
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have so much to catch up on now.
They're really
I've
interesting
actually-
streams, but yeah.
You know what? I've never watched one of his streams. I've read his tweets, like his threads.
Yeah, his threads
Like
are
I
really
read
good.
his Oshino co-threads, which I thought were really good.
Yeah, his Mushoku ones are really good too. He puts a lot of work into the threads, but on the streams you get his real like guesses at what's going to happen, and yeah, it's having that with people who do know what's going to happen and him trying to like play mind games with us to find out if he's right, even though he doesn't actually want to know that he's right. That's the thing. If he did want to know if he was right, then it would be different. I'm there like, I've got a 40-minute long video that explains all of this if you want to know it, you know. But like, he's like, no spoilers. But in the future, will this character do this? You know.
It's gotta be a difficult stream. God, psychologists, like, they view the world so differently from us.
I don't know that he really
feel like
does, like, in his, like, normal interactions with people. It's just his professional way of being. Like, he's really just a normal, friendly, nice person when you talk to him. You don't always feel like he's psychoanalyzing you or anything. It's just when he's put his mind into that gear and he's trying to figure out not only what the characters would do, but what the author would do. And, you know, the way I make theories and analyze things is I try and figure out what the author would do. But he's got, like, all of it going on, you know? Yeah. It's a lot of fun, though.
That does actually sound like a lot of fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. It gets pretty intense when it's me versus Ed, like one-on-one, because then it's like a complete mind game. Because he can see my face, so I've got to play extra careful.
It's like Death Note. SB takes a potato chip and eats it.
Did too? Oh my god.
I do really want to ask Ed at some point, like, more personal questions about, like, what he sees in me as a person, other than just he loves me to death.
So you want him to do an analysis of you?
Yes.
He has kind
I'm
of
very
done
Probably
it
going to
a
get
bit.
into some serious trauma that you've got buried deep in your past.
He's already digged into a little bit of that in the first one.
Yeah, he's done that with both of us.
He's done the tippy toes.
We were all talking about, like, all kinds of... The first stream I was on with him, which was the one before last week, I ended up talking about a load of stuff that I wasn't expecting to end up talking about, but it was the episode with Rudy's depression first being introduced, and, you know, it kind of tied into how I was feeling a year ago, and I just kind of was happy to answer any questions. It's all, you know, it's all for entertainment and that, but yeah, it did actually end up being a bit of a therapy session, and like SP's had a few like that before as well, where he's gone on there and talked about things, because we just answer his questions honestly, you know. It's when they're about us, when they're about Mushoku Tensei, we have to be a bit more careful.
Right. No. I wish I had something super smart to say, but I got nothing.
Well, you have been going for quite a while.
We have, and I think I'm actually going to have to cut this off. I literally just got a text asking where the hell I am. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
That's probably the perfect
Right.
time, because this is about to start in
Yeah.
like 5 minutes.
We should probably go as well, so we can take a little break before we join Ed. So, thank you so
But
much.
it was fun having you, Brandon, here.
Thank you so
No,
much. for joining
thank
us.
you guys for having me. I had a great time with you both.
It's nice to put a voice to the name.
Speaking of, how do I sound to you? Like, do I sound like you guys pictured me to?
Well, I already knew what you sounded like because you used to have a channel ages ago.
Oh, right.
And I watched your
You
video about
sound like a
ReZero.
young, well-mannered American.
Well-mannered American. Do those even go together?
Yeah.
That's the special part about you.
Okay.
Because the accent's very much American, because I know the accent straight away, but you sound younger, but you've also got a very, like, polite way of talking, but you can also be really fun as well. So it's like that well, polite, fun American accent.
So I'm kind of like Rudy is what you're saying.
I guess so, yeah.
Very polite.
But Rudius isn't American.
This is true. He's Japanese.
Well, no, he speaks the human tongue.
I speak the human tongue. You threw me off for a second there.
No, they all speak different languages in Mushoku Tensei, don't they? Like Rudius learns like the beast tongue and the demon tongue.
And the demon god, demon tongue. God, was there god tongue too? No.
No, it's the demon god tongue and the beast god tongue.
Okay.
Draco says you're higher pitched than he expected.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. Every single time I order food at like the drive-thru at any fast food restaurant, they always call me ma'am.
Oh.
Whenever I'm on the phone with someone, like I got off the phone with my credit card company a while ago because my cards weren't working. Ma'am, even though my name is Brandon and they know, I think they give you the information, yeah, this card belongs to Brandon Varnell, which is not, it's not the name of a woman. Like no woman's going to be named Brandon. And if you're named Brandon, your parents obviously hate you. But so like, you know, even with that name, I still get called ma'am whenever I'm talking to someone on the phone who doesn't know that, yeah, this is a dude.
There are some people online that think I'm a man though, so maybe we should swap voices.
You know what? If I could get your sexy accent, I would do that. And then I can like listen to myself talk. That'd be hot.
We could just go the whole way and Freaky Friday ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd want to do that with me. I just imagine like the first thing I'd do if I became you, like, I mean, I suppose that'd be hot. I could send you like a video of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
No thoughts on that?
I don't know because I don't tend to. I'm not a narcissist, you know. I don't tend to be turned on by videos of myself.
Oh, right. That makes sense. I guess that wouldn't. I mean, thinking about it, if you sent me videos of myself doing stuff, I probably would think that was weird too.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
If you woke up as me, you'd probably just go to the pool because you'd be too hot, and there's a pool.
You know, I live in Arizona.
Do you have a pool?
I do have a pool.
Do you?
But I'm just saying, like Arizona, like it's hot. I know heat is no joke in Europe because not every place has like an AC, and we do have ACs.
I have AC, but only in one room, and it's not the room my setup is in, so.
That makes sense. We have ACs all over. But like, you know, outside, you step outside, and I've literally done this. I have cooked an egg on my pavement, on the blacktop.
How did it taste?
That's how hot it gets here. How did it taste?
Gritty.
It's disgusting. I never ate that egg.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be complaining about the heat to some people in Arizona and Australia, really, but. You know.
I mean, Europe still has it pretty bad, especially if you're not used to the heat. Like, you guys don't get like heat.
To be honest, this summer that they've been saying was like super extreme has actually just been normal to me. It hasn't really been. I've lived in Italy for 10 years now. This isn't that different to any other summer. In fact, for me, it's been better because now I live by the coast, and if I get too hot, there's the sea, there's a pool, you know. Whereas before I lived in an inland city and got pretty sweaty.
I would love to be near the sea. But the closest we have is California, and you couldn't pay me to live there.
I live one street from the sea.
That would be amazing. Why were you at the pool and not the sea?
Because if I go by myself, I worry that my stuff will get stolen, because that did happen to me last year. Whereas the pool is private to my apartment building, so it's just like if I just want to go in the water and cool off, it's quicker.
That makes that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I would probably be spending most of my time by the ocean, but I wouldn't even get in. I think I just like
Yeah,
lounge
I mean,
there.
I go to the beach quite a lot just to walk and stuff and just to like look at it. But to actually cool off and swim, I prefer the pool because my stuff's all secure there. Whereas to go to the beach, I at least have to take my keys and my phone and stuff like that, you know. So you're always going to be leaving something on the beach, even if you don't take your money or whatever. So I tend not to go there to swim. I go to the pool for that. So yeah, that's all. Anyway, we should probably go because we're talking about things that I'm sure nobody finds interesting except us.
Yeah, I will flirt with you after the stream.
I'm sure you will.
And I will be watching you both flirt.
No,
It's all gonna be on Twitter anyways. You can all follow us.
He just chips in and flirts with Brandon, but not me.
Yeah.
Just to
You can flirt with
I like
to
it's so
put-
hard to get.
put the TV wife in her place.
Exactly. I'm going to remind you of your place.
Where is that place?
Keep me on my toes.
Back on YouTube. I just do the equivalent of the kitchen, but for YouTube. Get back to YouTube.
Yeah, actually, you know, we were talking about doing the waifu tier list. The only reason I haven't done that is because I got a sponsor that I need to send them the draft of tomorrow, and I thought I'd put it in that video, so that's why that hasn't gone up yet. But I will do it, so we can compare waifu tier lists later in the
Sounds
week.
good.
I am curious to know who your waifus are.
Yeah, we're both going to do it. Someone made the tier lists for us for waifus and husbandos. I'm going to do both. I think SB was saying he might only do the waifus.
I was going to do both.
Oh, you're
I'll
going to
do both, but I'm just going to do
it'd be more
like
funny.
the spoil and the non-spoil it in one.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do that too. I think that's going to be funnier. But yeah, we're going to have those up next week. Well, you know, depending how quickly.
And that's real.
Yeah, depending how quickly they approve my integration that I'm doing for a certain company. It'll be in the next couple of days, so.
Oh, is this all hush hush?
It's not Raid Shadow Legends this time, actually. But it's one of the other ones that you will definitely have seen sponsor other YouTubers. So it's not going to come as a major surprise.
All right.
Jimothy says, is the psychology live stream on Twitch or YouTube or something else? It's on Twitch, but he does upload it to YouTube afterwards. So if you want to come over to Twitch, let me just get the link and post it in the chat.
I already posted it.
Oh, you already posted it? Cool.
Yeah. I put it
This has been a while ago. I didn't even see that link.
Yeah.
A few people guessing NordVPN. It's not Nord, but the VPN part might be right. So I did get an offer from NordVPN once, but it was right after I'd had an offer from another VPN company, and they were like, you can't advertise other VPN companies within several months of. So I was like, okay. But yeah.
Wow, getting offers from VPN companies.
Yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
feel like you're going up in the world.
I'm not sure why, but yeah.
I mean, because you're an anime-tuber, I guess.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, like, that it would be relevant, but my channel hasn't been performing, like, amazingly lately. It's, you know, where I've come off the hiatus, it takes a while to build it back up. But, you know, it's good to start working with some sponsors again, and hopefully things will be on the rise.
I will be keeping my fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, because I did make this whole joke about, because the last video I made before I had the whole breakup and general meltdown was sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. And I kept saying that I was going to have like my public breakdown sponsored by... Yeah.
Happened. Shark VPN. Is Shark VPN a thing?
Yeah, that is another one, but that's not the one.
No.
Anyway,
Not the
you
one.
don't have to
It
like,
looks like it's one, I guess.
guess which VPN company I'm partnering with.
Okay. Remember, we'll be back next week, everyone. Check out Brandon's Twitter because he makes amazing light novels. And of course, we will be on Ed's stream in the coming hours.
The novels that Brandon writes, if you like Fox Girls especially, you will be very happy. And I'm just going to post the link. I'm just going to post the link to Ed again. Hi.
I actually see this link this time. I didn't see Espy's.
It's because I think Nat's is yellow because she runs the channel, so it shows better. Mine's just like a regular person.
Yeah, I haven't set up like moderators or anything.
That might work.
Because we're not very together with what we're doing. Because I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, but come and see us over on there. And we'll be back next week on Espiritu's channel for episode 4. And we'll definitely be seeing Elena Lee some more. And that's probably what we'll be talking about.
I would come on to that one.
Bit of spicy elf.
Everyone could use a spicy elf.
Yeah, and there will be more Soldat as well.
I almost gave spoilers again.
Yeah, I know what spoiler you're going to say. As well.
Wow.
We'll talk about that next week.
Okay. Don't spoil it for the anime onlys. I don't want to ruin the fun.
Okay, my
Holo
lovelies.
the White Sox.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll either see you over on Ed's stream or we will see you next week or on Twitter or, there's really no getting away from us. Good night, everyone.
There is no escape.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Pepe.
Okay, I clicked end, so I guess in a few seconds we'll be...